Welcome, everybody, to the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. I'm your host, Dexter Henry, and we are doing a special live show today. Why? Because it's NBA draft time. So, Brian and I, we're always doing the show regularly, you get it recorded, but we want to do something different, something live for the 2021 NBA draft. And to join me to talk about this, of course, first up is my co-host, Brian Fonseca. He's here, and he's really excited about all these potential trades. He's been waiting for this all week. He is giddy as hell. Brian, what's up, man?
You saw what I said on the chat, so you know what kind of mood
Yeah,
I'm in.
I see the energy. I see the energy.
We're gonna keep that to what it is. But look, I'm doing well. We have two great guests, two very smart basketball minds. One that Ain't Hard to Tell listeners know very well, and one that we're gonna be introducing to them. So I'm very excited about both. And yeah, you're gonna see a lot of different reactions from me coming in this draft. Holy shit!
Yeah, look, he's ready. Look at him already. He's got
Come
that
on,
ridiculous
son.
energy.
Like
He's on one tonight.
here's the thing, and I don't even need that many trades for the stimuli necessarily, but because they're listen, I'm telling y'all right now, Monday we're gonna do another one of these for free agency. Like we're planning on setting that up. And yeah, it's gonna be very, very very interesting set of days. And then if you know, like me and Dexter are Met fans, we're sort of concerned about what they may or may not do at the trade deadline. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, we got another Met fan with us. This guy is well plugged in to college basketball, which is why we had to have him on the show. He recently was on the NBA Exchange with me a couple days ago, breaking down this draft. The Blackatologist, my man Jamal Murphy. Murph, what's up, man?
What up? What up? What up?
How you doing? Are you as excited? Do you have the same energy as Brian does for this draft?
Yeah, on the inside, you know what I'm saying? I got the same energy. I love the NBA draft. I love hearing so-called draft experts pretend like they know what they're talking about. I never watched one of these dudes play in their life. You know what I'm saying? So it's great. I'm hyped.
I wonder who you are talking about. And last but not least, somebody join us first time joining stuff with the Backpack Broadcasting platform. Evin Gualberto. He runs one of what I consider one of the best NBA YouTube channels. Evan, thank you for joining us. He is a podcaster, coach. He does everything around basketball. Breaks down the video as great as anybody in the game. Ev, what's up, man?
I have nothing to say to that. Appreciate it. Appreciate the kind words. Excited.
Oh, well, I'm glad you're excited. See, already we can tell nobody has the energy that Brian has, and that is going to be
it'll come out
to match.
I always get it out of Murph.
Oh yeah, we're all trying to catch up to Brian, Evan. Like we are all trying to match his energy as best we can. So we know Brian's excited for this draft, and there's a lot of talk about this draft, but it's not just the picks. We're going to go with everybody through these picks tonight, all the picks for the first round. But we also expect there to be some trades. We expect there to be some action as well going on. We've already seen some action. And let's start with the news about a trade that isn't finalized, but one that might come up pretty soon. And this involves the Los Angeles Lakers and the Washington Wizards. This would have this is according to Woj from ESPN. The Lakers are nearing a deal with the Wizards to acquire Russell Westbrook for Kyle Kuzma, Montrezl Harrell, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and the 2021 draft pick. These are what sources told Adrian Wojnarowski. I saw this and I was like, yeah, all right, here we go. Draft night's getting kicked off. What does everybody think about this? Is this a good move for both the Lakers and the Wizards? Ev, since you're the newcomer, I'm going to start with you on this. What do you think about this potential trade? And it's going down. Come on, bring the Brian energy, man.
All right. Real quick, I don't know. It's I'm local to DC. I've been watching Russell Westbrook for, about as long as everybody's been watching Russell Westbrook. I can tell you it's to handle those LeBron sitting minutes because, when LeBron sits, even with those AD lineups, the Lakers just went. So it's probably to remedy that. It's a high price to pay for somebody that age, but it's going to be fun to watch at the very least,
Yeah, I think it will be. And for those watching this live, let us know what you think in the chat. Let us know what you think about the trade, or you like this not potential trade, not finalized yet. Potential trade, we should say. Brian, what's your energy on this trade, man?
I mean, we were talking about this a little while ago, but can Russell Westbrook and LeBron James work? I actually like. I'm trying to talk myself into it, because you know that in the inevitable event that Anthony Davis is injured, Russell Westbrook is going to be the one being like, "Yo, I'm going to get these fucking rebounds. Get the fuck out of my way." So you know that that's going to happen. As it pertains to how it would potentially work with LeBron, I'm not sure. I feel like LeBron at this point is obviously, I mean, has always been smart enough to sort of try to make these things work. Is it an upgrade from what they're sending out reportedly, right? Kyle Kuzma, Montrezl Harrell, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe I would like to see what they do around that. They're definitely going to need shooting, obviously, as we know. But I mean, it's interesting. It makes the Lakers more interesting. I don't know how much better it'll make them. I think it will help, but it's too early to call because, as we know, there are going to be a lot of moves. Like 50% of the league is probably going to change hands within the next couple weeks, and we're going to see what else happens in the Western Conference around the Lakers at that point.
Gonna be real interesting. Murph, what do else do you think about this? Is this a good move for the Lakers? Because as Brian said, AD's always injured, leads the team and leads the league in appearances to the locker room, either him or Kristaps Porzingis. What do you say to this?
I'm lukewarm to it. I think I'm not gonna kill it. I think Russell Westbrook brings a lot to the table. As was said before, now LeBron can sit down a little bit, and he kind of has some of those same skills in terms of being able to pass and rebound and score at the basket. Obviously he's not going to give you much in the way of 3-point shooting, but he'll take them. So that's an issue there. It's LA, so it adds some intrigue to the mix. It's going to be fun. It'll be fun seeing the personality of Russell Westbrook on that team. I am a Westbrook fan. I think he plays hard, so that's infectious a lot of times. So in terms of putting them over the top to win a championship, I wouldn't bet on that. I know the Vegas odds have put the Lakers in a better position because they think they're getting Westbrook now. I don't really agree with that. I think it depends what other pieces they add on the perimeter. But it'll be entertaining to say the least. And I don't knock them for trying it.
Yeah, you can't knock him for trying here. I wonder the other rumored deal, guys, that we saw out there was the Lakers possibly getting Buddy Hield in that. And you wonder if maybe they should have gone for Buddy Hield with the shooting, or if that still is in play.
Hold on. Before you even go down the Buddy Hield rabbit hole, though, what happens the first time LeBron is passive aggressive with Russell Westbrook? Predictions, please.
Russ will scream on him. Russ will try to. He's not afraid. I remember there was a play with Harden. I mean, different personalities, of course, but I remember when he was playing with Harden in Houston, and Harden threw a lazy pass or something like that, and Russell mocked him for doing it. Like he mocked him. He was like, "What was that? What was that?" You know what I'm saying? So he's not going to bite his tongue. He's going to hold everybody accountable, including LeBron. So that's what I mean. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Westbrook's not going to take too kindly to that passive aggressiveness there. But does anybody think that Buddy Hield might have been a better fit if that's still possibly on the table? Once again, this deal is not finalized. But does anybody think Buddy Hield might have been a better fit? Like, Ev, you look more on the coaching side. Do you think Buddy Hield is more of the shooting that the Lakers would need on this roster right now?
So, I mean, the problem with assessing trades just by themselves, and this early too, is the roster's not built out. So if this were like the end of free agency and you knew what the rest of the Lakers looked like, then you could properly assess. But on paper, Buddy Hield is younger. He's a shooter. He can do some stuff off the bounce. He fits ideally alongside, LeBron and AD. Whereas Russ, I feel like, is best if you think about it, like he's buoying the minutes when either LeBron rests or those two rest. So I don't know if Buddy is necessarily the better player, but he fits better in a vacuum. Also, I mean, if you're giving up the same things for both of them, you want the guy who's been there, who can raise the floor of your team like Westbrook can. But we'll see how the rest of the roster shakes out.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. And as Evin said there, that rumored deal for Buddy Hield was pretty much giving up the same stuff. And, there is an argument that Westbrook does raise the floor of the team because he's been there. He's been an all-star. He's been to a finals, that sort of thing. We'll see how it all works out. Did you guys like any of the other pre-draft trades? We expect there to be some more. We are minutes away from the draft starting. We expect there to be some more. Did you guys like any of the other pre-draft trades? Murph, I'll start with you. We had that Memphis-New Orleans trade. That was interesting. Brooklyn traded Landry Shamet to who they trade Landry? Oh, to the Suns. They traded him to the Suns. The Wolves also sent
and got a
Ricky
first
Rubio
round pick.
to the Cavs.
A shitty one, but still.
Right. So now the Nets have 29 and 27. Anything interesting there, guys?
Yeah, I actually like what the Nets did there. They flipped Landry Shamet into a late first rounder and got the kid from West Virginia. I forget his name right now.
Javon Carter.
But yeah, Javon Carter, great defensive player. He's actually improved on the offensive end at Phoenix. So I think he's a guy who's going to get some. If he ends up with the Nets when all is said and done this season, I think he'll get some playing time and people will appreciate him. And also you get a late round pick. Any number of ways you can go there. So that's a great asset to have, I think, in a deep draft this season. And Landry Shamet, to get that for him, I think that's a steal because, he was a solid regular season player. But we saw, when it comes down to, we saw it in LA too, that he just is not that guy you can really count on when you really need it in a tough situation, particularly in the playoffs. So I think they kind of flipped that into some better assets.
What about, Brian, what about the deal with Rubio? Because I found that very interesting, and it makes you think about what the future possibly may be for Colin Sexton there in Cleveland. Is this something you like for Cleveland? This also signals that, the Wolves want to see D'Angelo Russell have more time at point guard with him and Anthony Edwards in that backcourt and not have Russell come off the bench where he played pretty well towards the end of last season.
I guess. I kind of feel for Ricky Rubio, though, because he's going to Cleveland now. And I think that Cleveland, if Cleveland gets Evan Mobley in particular, then no, I wouldn't trade Colin Sexton because I could just have a starting five of Darius Garland, Colin Sexton, Isaac Okoro, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen. And if I'm Cleveland and I want to be optimistic, I'm like, oh, maybe, if Evan Mobley in particular pans out in year one and is one of the, top 3-4 rookies of this class, and I think he has a chance to be the best one, then yeah, you're looking at maybe you can get into play in this year, extend Jared Allen, keep Colin Sexton for another year. I don't know if they're going to do that. Which would be unfortunate because of the Sexland backcourt, and that's my favorite nickname in the NBA. However, if he does go to Miami, then they're going to name him and Jimmy Butler Butt Sex, so we'll see what happens with that.
Oh, God.
Now, yeah. now with Ricky Rubio backing up Darius Garland, dog, I don't know. I think that he's a good, as you put it in a chat that we had earlier, low-end starter, but I think that that's more so possibly insurance for, if they were to get rid of Colin Sexton, though I don't think he should start next to Darius Garland necessarily, but somebody to eat up some minutes there. I do like, however, I like the team if Evan Mobley and Gerard's already, he's not even here and he's telling me to chill out. I like for Cleveland to try to get Evan Mobley and make that starting five that I said, because I think that could actually be fun and entertaining and the way that they should go in terms of building this team.
Interesting. Gerard checking and saying Evan Mobley is the dude that he would want in this draft. Shout out to our man Gerard Hector. He was.
That ain't why he said chill me though. I guarantee you that.
Oh no, he knows what energy you're bringing. That's why he's telling you to chill. He's like, we're only minutes away from this draft getting kicked off, and he knows exactly what kind of energy you're bringing. But let's pivot now to the draft and some of the picks for a little bit of a while here, because everything has been coming out. There was some rumors, hey, maybe Cade won't be taking number one. Cade Cunningham, that is, with the Detroit Pistons. Then it came out earlier today the Pistons will take him number one. It seems like the top three is pretty set. Murph, we talked about this on the exchange the other day. Cunningham to the Pistons, is that the right guy?
Yeah, I think it's hard to say it's not. I agree with everybody who says he's a safe pick because, he's the most put together, mature player right now. He's a very confident player, and you got to assume he's going to get better also. But he's been that guy for a number of years. He didn't disappoint at Oklahoma State. He can do a lot of everything. He can score, he can pass, he can handle the ball, he can play defense. He's clutch, tough, has the size at 6'8", ball handling ability. There's really nothing he can't do. Now, to me, I always look. He looked to me. I feel like he's a Grant Hill type, but not as athletic as Grant Hill. Um, so you have that, but I mean, I can't argue with people like Gerard, who said he would take Evan Mobley because there's just so much upside there. I mean, even Jalen Green is upside there. I think the top three guys are pretty close, and any one of those three could come out of this draft looking like they should have been the number one pick.
How much, Evan, have you looked at these guys, these prospects in terms of the draft? And is there anybody that jumps off and excites you? Is it Cade Cunningham and is it Jalen Green from watching videos? Any of these guys really excite you?
I mean, from a breakdown standpoint, like Cade does everything that you want to see. Like I was watching film the other day, and like he gets switched on to five sometimes. Shout out to PD Webb, who like I talk a lot too. Like he gets switched on to five sometimes, and there's no back down there. He's unafraid of like any matchup, any moment, and they run like posts up for him. Like to Murph's point, like Grant Hill ish. Like it feels like he's not afraid of anything. I feel like if everything bears out, Mobley is the better prospect, but like, that's the problem with the draft. That's the problem with projecting out. It's like if everything hits right, then you end up with this player. You end up with Evan Mobley maxed out. He's a superstar. He can do everything at that size. But is that going to pan out? Who knows?
Right.
So I mean, Cade.
Yeah, so you would definitely take Cade at number one. Brian, what about you? I feel like you might have some different energy towards this as usual. Would you go with Cade at number one, or is there somebody else that's tickling your fancy?
Look, I like Cade a lot. I think his ceiling is super high. I would just be curious, like, right, if I had the number one overall pick, what could I get if I move back to number two? Just number two. So that I could get Evan Mobley, because I wouldn't want to take Evan Mobley at number one because I feel like somebody else would want to just take Cade and I can just get something by moving back a spot just to see what it was. I think these are the two best players in this draft. I like what Cade Cunningham does a lot, as you guys laid out. Evan Mobley to me is like what you can see or what you have seen in terms of these big men of the future or really of the modern day. Like he has some Anthony Davis in him. Some have said Chris Bosh. I see a little bit of Bam Adebayo defensively as well. Like you're starting to throw those kind of names out there, then I'm pretty sold, because generally I'm not the guy that says you have to take the center. I'm not that guy at all. And recently we've seen that that's not necessarily the case. You can get certain bigs. This is the kind of big though you would want to take early because of his versatility and how he could adapt and how he can really switch off and guard. I mean, we got to see if he can guard 1 through 5 at the NBA level, but he has the frame and sort of potential and quickness to potentially do that. He could at least guard 3 positions well, I would feel comfortable in saying at this point. So I'm very tantalized, as Dexter would say, by what Evan Mobley could provide. And then we talked a little bit about Jalen Green before. He has what I dub fuck you athleticism. And I'm not somebody who gets wowed by athleticism necessarily. But Jalen Green, I mean, Dexter, you were throwing out earlier when we were talking over the phone. You threw out like a little bit of young, like 18-year-old.
Well,
Potentially.
Brian,
No, I'm
Brian,
here.
Okay, I thought you left us for a second. I thought you had so much energy you had to leave.
I'm all here. They trying to keep me down. You know what I'm saying? Like it's it's not gonna work out tonight. But yeah, I think that he does have some of that young Kobe and Tracy McGrady in terms of the athleticism. And you could see he has a nice ceiling as a shooter. So I think that he intrigues me as well in that top 3. I think he goes to Houston, and that makes a lot of sense, though.
Yeah, I will say this. I don't want to say I'm high on Jalen Green off what I've seen, but I've been very intrigued. I do think there's something to guys that play. And Evan, you tell me how you feel about this too when you're looking at video. Guys who've played against other grown men, and no disrespect to the college game, but he's played against grown men. We've seen the athleticism. Not a super guy, a guy who gets high on, oh man, this kid's an athletic freak, so that's it. But he's got some of that FU athleticism that Brian talks about that I like. That reminds me a little bit.
You could say it. You can say it. You're not under contract. You don't have to censor yourself. Come on.
You see, Evan, he's trying to bring out that energy in me already. And I think his shot is decent already. Our man Gerard Hector checking in. on the chat says he has potential to be a good shooter. And I think that is true. That can absolutely happen. But I do like his, I like his bounce. I like what he's showing. He has some confidence. I think he could be good. However, look, if I'm Detroit, I'm taking Cade, and that's the pick that's been made. Cade Cunningham will be the number one pick in the draft for Detroit. But I think Jalen Green is going to be intriguing to see if Houston takes him at 2. But I do like what he has to offer. Have you liked what you've seen from him too on tape, Evin, at all? Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Are you seeing that FU bounce?
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely there. That's the one thing that pops off right away, right? I think, to your point, the value of like having guys who play against grown men. So like guys who play overseas, especially as like 16, 17, 18-year-olds, they're playing against dudes who are like that much stronger. You can, and like have that veteran know-how. You can sort of see how they play the game, how they think the game, how they react at that higher speed. Whereas in college, I don't necessarily know. Every now and then you'll come across a top prospect, somebody who's definitely going to be going to the league, and then you can measure yourself up there. But I just think like there is so much value in seeing what they're like against not necessarily NBA level competition, but like maybe just a half step below, so on and so forth,
Yeah, no, it'll be very, very interesting to see how he develops. So Cade Cunningham, number one pick. I think we all thought that's what would happen. Detroit doesn't do anything crazy
said that
here.
shit 8 hours ago and ruined it for everybody.
Woj should let us know 8 hours ago. And for those of you watching the draft and checking in with us, we already know what the number 2 pick is going to be.
Chris Haynes reported that his boy from Fresno, Jalen Green, is going to the Houston Rockets at number 2 overall. That opens the door for, I'm telling you, I think that the Cavs should really get Evan Mobley. I honestly do. I did a FanDuel stream not that long ago, and Justin Rowan is somebody, I think he actually works for the Cavs website, and he was saying like, yeah, this is who I want them to get. And this was probably a few weeks. This was the day of the draft lottery, whenever that was. All these days blend together now, so I'm not sure. Evan Mobley next to Jared Allen could absolutely work, because Jared Allen is very selfless, just wants to rebound, block shots, or contest shots at the very least. Doesn't really need the ball like that. He's an excellent rim running center for what you would want to build around. And then Evan Mobley could do all the other shit outside of that. Like he can score, he can get the ball, he can switch on defense. Mobley versus Jared Allen could work on the inside. That Cavs team, they're going to be a little bit of a league pass favorite for me if they do get Evan Mobley and pull the trigger on that.
That will be interesting. We'll get back to him in 1 second. But do you guys, Murph, do you like this Jalen Green fit in Houston with him going to the Rockets at number 2?
Yeah, I like it. After losing Harden, they get another explosive offensive weapon. I've become more and more impressed with Green the last few days, especially just watching more of him on film and listening to guys who coached him and stuff like that, and learning more about it, like his work ethic and drive ever since high school. And then his athletic ability is just ridiculously off the charts. I think, it's pretty clear that he's going to be a star in the league. I'm very high on Mobley also. So I think Cleveland's getting a steal at the 3rd pick. But to me, they would be getting a steal either way. If it were Mobley or if it were Green, they were just in a great position to get either one of those guys. So I think both teams make out here.
I wonder, though, Murph, and for everybody, we'll just open this up. I wonder, guys, if the Cavs overthink this pick here, right? When we get to 3, right? Because you can overthink it to the point where it's like, hey, we have a big in Jared Allen, we're adding another big in Mobley. Should we do this at all? And Evan, let me know what you think, because I'm of this mindset. Talent wins.
We're getting to that, Gerard. We're getting to that. The Raptors.
You'll figure the rest of this out. Okay, you'll figure the rest of this out. I think Mobley's that good. If you believe Mobley's that good, take him. You got to take him, and the rest of this, Brian will say, I'm going to get cursed like him. The rest of the shit will figure itself out, right? Brian loves that energy. What do you think about that, Evan? Are they overthinking this if they somehow trade the pick and don't take Mobley at 3?
So here's my hope. This is me. Like I have a bunch of different ties to the Raptors, but mostly I want to see Mobley on the Raptors.
Oh,
okay. Because you put him with, like, I don't know if Pascal Siakam is going to get traded, but the fit I want to see is him next to OG Anunoby, who, like, at whatever size he is. I think he's about 6'6", whatever size he's listed as. He reminds me of Ben Wallace in a way. He can switch onto multiple players. He's kind of like, I kind of call him the middle ground between Bam and Ben Wallace. The way he can be that small and be a center. And so you pair those two guys together, I think they can be dynamite defensively. And maybe it's just the fact that like I know a bunch of Raptors people, but like I love their development program. So I would love to see him there. If the Cavs overthink it, which they, like Murph said, they absolutely should not. Like I would love to see him on the Raptors, man.
Murph, to you on that, right? The Cavs, the Cavs could be the Cavs. They could overthink this. How bad? You sound like you think this would be a horrible mistake.
Of course I would. Of course, I mean, there's a top tier of three guys, and it's these three guys really. And in Mobley, I'm a little worried about the Cavs development situation, and hopefully Mobley gets the proper development that he needs. I do, I'm about 90% sold on Mobley turning into like a superstar type of player. But there are parts of his game, he just needs to mature, I think. And I'm not so sure what his offensive mentality is. We'll get to see that. So that's something that's going to need to be developed. So I hope they can do that in Cleveland. But you don't pass up on a prospect like this who comes in defensive ready. I mean, he could be a top defender as soon as he steps in the league. Okay, so you can't at his size. Okay, so you can't pass up on this. If they pass up on this, Kobe Altman might as well just resign. It would just be ridiculous. And he's a Brooklyn kid, so I hope he does the right thing here and takes Mobley. It's the obvious pick.
I hope so. Now, if the Cavs don't do the right thing, and I like that Brooklyn tie and do the right thing. That was good. Very nice there, Murph. Who would be likely to trade up for him? Would the Raptors want to make a move if they really say, hey, we're going to try to give something to move up to 4? But I think that would mean probably parting with Anunoby if you were going to probably try to move up in some kind of way, one spot at least, or somebody, maybe Sexton. I don't know. Do you think there's a team that might really want to go up there to get Mobley? The OKC Thunder, perhaps? Does anybody think that's possible? Or, I mean, I'm thinking of these things where the Cavs could mess this up. I'm thinking of how this can go down.
Well, Oklahoma City's got to do something with all them damn picks. Like, you don't ever play 2K, and then all of a sudden you stockpile too many picks, and you're like, what the fuck do I do with all this? I got to trade it all to consolidate for something. Like, that's how I feel like Oklahoma City is going to be at some point because they have so many picks.
Well, we do have news here, a couple bits of news. One, Cleveland will select Evan Mobley at 3, so they did not mess this up.
Can you please? I'm going to read it the way Woj fucking worded this. Cleveland has imagined USC 7-footer Evan Mobley playing on a front line with Jared Allen, some 4-man, some 5. Cavs believe he's a franchise player. Like the way he's saying it, just sort of dancing around, saying that they picked him because remember the whole thing a couple years ago about him spoiling picks, and the league didn't want him to do that because he's with ESPN. So I found that very interesting. Russell Westbrook. Oh shit.
That's the next thing I'm getting to, guys. The Wizards have agreed. There's an agreement. This is a done deal. The Wizards have agreed to trade Russell Westbrook, 2024 second-round pick, 2028 second-round pick to the Lakers for Kyle Kuzma, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Montrezl Harrell, and number 22 tonight. So the Lakers actually get some.
Read that one more time, please.
All right.
One more time.
Wizards have agreed to trade Westbrook, a 2024 second-rounder, a 2028 second-rounder to the Lakers for Kuzma, KCP, Montrezl Harrell, and number 22 tonight. So the Lakers end up getting Westbrook, 2 future second-round picks, and they give up their first tonight along with KCP, Kuzma, and Montrezl Harrell. This is a done deal. Thoughts, guys?
Woo!
Oh, there we go. Shit. There we go. We got the energy.
Okay, look. Let me say this real quick. The more I think about it, I'm like, all right, I don't know. I have to think about how much Russ improves that, right? How much he improves them with the Lakers. But if you're asking me if I'd rather have Russell Westbrook than Kyle Kuzma, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and Montrezl Harrell, I might take Russell Westbrook in that and just figure out the rest of the shit later. I mean, the two
Yeah.
second round picks are what they are. I don't even think I said that correctly. And then with LeBron James, I just trusted him to figure it out. They need some shooters though. But I love that they have Russell Westbrook as a competitor. And look, what two dudes in the NBA want to win as badly as LeBron James and Russell Westbrook at this stage of their careers? So we'll see. I'm concerned about the health for all three of their stars, but we'll see. I think it's interesting at the very least.
All right, our man Gerard Hector checking in on this. I think he brings up a point that's at least somewhat fair. Uh, Evan, are you concerned about spacing with this team now with Westbrook and LeBron on the court?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I was concerned before when it was Braun and AD. It's so my thing real quick is everybody gets to talk about Russell Westbrook. If you're a low end contender, you can add like a guy like KCP. Go ahead and pick him up if you can, because I mean, the Wizards aren't going to do anything with him. I think he provided great value in the bubble, especially in that playoff run. Like I said it once on the podcast, I was just like, if KCP is going to KCP, then there's nothing you can do with the Lakers, and that's just it. Like if he's hitting, what are you really going to do with Westbrook and the Lakers? I got to see what the other pieces are, because I think right now, off the top of my head, I think the only other person on roster besides those three is Marc Gasol. So it's not a lot of spacing there as of right now. So
there is not a
Dex,
lot of spacing there at all.
Dex,
yeah, go ahead.
they kept Taylor Horton Tucker. They didn't
did.
trade him
Well,
in that deal.
They did not trade him in that deal, and so they can still
he's not
re-sign him.
spacing much either.
Well, he and Alex Caruso are restricted free agents, and yeah, that's true. He and Alex Caruso are restricted free agents, and I wonder, and I want to toss it to Murph, but I wonder what this means in terms of the potential of like keeping those guys, Alex Caruso in particular, because I think that they're gonna need somebody to guard other point guards, other ball handlers.
Well, I also wonder, guys, what does this mean now with this domino falling with this trade? And Brian was hyped about the transactions. He's probably jumping for joy inside. You might not be seeing it, people, but he probably is. I also wonder what this now means for Bradley Beal. And we've heard a lot of talk about the Golden State Warriors. They have picked 7 and 14. Will they try to get those? We've heard packages around Andrew Wiseman. Andrew Wiggins. I was mixing up two players there. And Wiseman.
That sounded like a player to me. I didn't even correct
sound
you.
like a player. You're like, Andrew Wiseman sounds good. Those two guys, Wiseman and Wiggins, along with 7 and 14, possibly going to Washington. Bradley Beal, Westbrook goes out. Brian mentioned this to me earlier. We've seen Westbrook go out after another star is left and is gone. We saw this with Paul George. We saw this in the case of Harden being traded. He got out before they were able to trade Harden. When Westbrook sees the ship sinking, he's like, nope, I'm out of there. Sounds to me like they might be moving Beal here. Do we think Beal gets traded tonight? Do we see that happening at all? Murph, what do you think?
I mean, all reports say no. I mean, Shams said that he reported earlier today that Beal is happy in Washington, which sounds funny, just to say that he's happy there. I wonder if he heard that Westbrook was being traded and maybe he wanted to stay. I don't know. I don't want to throw any shade out there. I'm just curious. I'm just trying to figure all this stuff out. But no, I don't think it doesn't look like he's going to go anywhere. It looks like for now the Wizards will try to build something around him. I don't know if this trade accomplishes much of that. I mean, you got Montrezl Harrell, you got KCP. I mean,
and Thomas Bryant, Montrezl Harrell, and Thomas Bryant.
Right. So I don't know. He's not going to have much. He doesn't have much of a team right now. So we'll see what the Wizards do. But I predict that Beal stays put.
Beal staying put tonight. That shall be
question.
very interesting. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Do we think that Buddy Hield is still attainable using whatever sign and trade method they have to use with based around Taylor Horton Tucker, possibly Alex Caruso also? But I'm wondering, could they? Because I think we would all agree that even though Buddy Hield is not seen as the better player, he's probably the better fit next to LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and probably by a good amount. So I'm wondering, if you're not going to keep Taylor Horton Tucker and you're not going to keep Alex Caruso, I don't know if they are what their plans are necessarily, but can you sort of package them as some sort of sign and trade and try to land Buddy Hield, whose contract is not as bad as people think. It's like 22 million roughly, then 20, and then 18 for somebody who averages 16, 17 points per game, and then is shooting like 40% from three. I'm gonna ignore
Yeah.
Gerard, but yeah.
Yeah, but I feel there's a fair question. But what do the Lakers really have to give? If you're Sacramento, why would you do that deal? You know, that's I don't want no disrespect. I don't want Alex Caruso and Taylor Horton Tucker. And what are you going to give them the 2 second-round picks you just got from the Wizards? That doesn't really entice me.
What is Sacramento doing? I mean that's like a trick.
Well, that's a question for Sacramento.
Yeah, that's a trick. Yeah. That's a trick question. But I hear people say, "Oh, we're going to get." First of all, they got rid of, Bogdanovich is gone. So remember last season it was like, oh, we can't have Hield and Bogdanovich. They're basically the same. They want to shoot, blah blah blah. So now you have Bogdanovich gone. So you would think that Hield would be fine there, but now they're saying they want to play Halliburton and Fox together.
Mm-hmm.
But they're both really point guards. Like, what do we do? What is Sacramento doing?
Yeah, we got another trade.
We never know what Sacramento's doing, to answer your question. What they should do is keep my guy Rashawn Holmes, but he actually deserves better than Sacramento, so never mind.
Let's do the pick first, and then we'll talk about this other trade. All right, this goes to Evan's plugged in with this team, the Toronto Raptors. He's talked about that. The Raptors, I think a lot of people here thought they were going to take Jalen Suggs. I thought they would. They do not. They take Scotty Barnes at 4.
Wow.
Now,
your boy Murph?
My guy, Scotty Barnes. Thank you. Somebody knows what they're doing.
That is Murph's guy. Evan, I'm sure you've watched some film on Barnes as well, too. Some people, I've heard this on a podcast today, said that, well, not today, a couple days ago, he's a 0-level scorer. I know Murph disagrees with that. Yeah, 0-level scorer is pretty harsh. It's pretty harsh, Evan. Do you think this is a good fit for the Raptors? And you talked about how much you trusted the development of the player development in the Raptors. Scotty Barnes is a guy that seems could fit in pretty well there, correct?
So here's my thing. Like with draft stuff, I'm not gonna claim to know like how things translate, but like I said, PD Webb's my guy. He said Scotty Barnes has an outside shot of being a top 4 guy, and like with the Raptors infrastructure, like that's the place I'd want him. If any team was gonna take a gamble, it will be the Raptors, and they're the only team I trust to grab a guy and maximize that potential. I don't know that it would be the most popular thing among Raptors Twitter, especially because, that fan base is insane. But like Barnes with Toronto, that's what I would like to like. They are gonna get everything out of him, I think.
And if you get everything out of that kid, you're gonna get a whole lot because that kid can do it all. He has to work on his shot. Okay, fine. He's like 19, okay? But like I said, that was totally overblown because I've seen him hit clutch shots like all season long. He was hitting game-winning shots. He was never afraid to shoot. Like that's not confidence is not his problem. And then the length, he could be still growing. He can pass, he can handle. He's a great guy in the locker room. And the more I thought about the Jalen Suggs thing to Toronto, because everybody was saying that, and it made sense, when you first thought about it, because like, oh, he's going to replace Lowry. But then I was like, they got Van Vliet. You know what I'm saying? Like who's a point guard also. So they don't really need a pure number one, a point guard because they have one, even if Lowry leaves. So I think the Scotty Barnes thing is a great pick.
Yeah, I think this is the first shakeup for a lot of people's mock drafts because I rarely saw a mock draft where I didn't see Jalen Suggs past 4 at all. So this is a sort of a shakeup. And then you even had some people having Barnes slip. You saw Barnes around 6 there. Now, there also was a trade, guys. Indiana is sending number 54, number 60, and 2 future seconds to Milwaukee for number 31. So they get right there to the top of the second round there. So interesting move there for Indiana. They're trying to acquire some more talent under new head coach Rick Carlisle. So it'll be very interesting. There's some Scotty Barnes fans here. Got somebody checking in on YouTube. Frederick Borgera says it makes sense. Size next to Fred VanVleet. The team defensively just got better, honestly. So people are liking the Scotty Barnes pick. I don't know about the people that said he was a 0-level scorer, but maybe we should trust. I mean, listen, Evan says it, and is proof in the pudding, right? We've seen the Raptors player development work. We've seen it with a lot of these guys, Siakam, Anunoby, Chris Boucher this past year had some really good moments for them as well. So we've seen the player development work for these guys. So yeah, I mean, why not? Murph, you sound like you were going to be next year. You're going to be insufferable. Scotty Barnes starts balling out, and you're going to be like, "I told you. I told all of you."
Let him when he drops 20 for the first time, I'm be like, "Yeah, 0 level scorer, okay." You know what I'm saying? Like give me a break with that. This is terrible.
You know what? The more I think about it, though, I feel like obviously Toronto's like up to something. I don't know what direction they're gonna go, but OG Anunoby, Fred VanVleet, we pretty much can all agree that Kyle Lowry is probably gonna be gone from there, and Pascal Siakam, Chris Boucher. As you start like continue to name names on this roster, I'm like, there's some sort of move that they're gonna make. Don't know what it is, but I think that Scotty Barnes is still in a great place in terms of developmental because, as we mentioned, in terms of player development, they're one of the best in the NBA, and they've proven that, for a while now, the last few years, with Fred VanVleet being an undrafted find and Chris Boucher coming out of nowhere, getting like most improved player votes. Like, this is a great spot for Scotty Barnes, I must say. And now, Woj just saying that Jalen Suggs is going to Orlando, and I like Jalen Suggs, but man, Cole Anthony, Markelle Fultz.
Wow, yeah. You gotta trade somebody.
I never know what Orlando's doing, and it's disappointing because in terms of cities in America that have a lot of Puerto Ricans, Orlando is right up there, and the Orlando Magic is a team that I would want to see do well. But I mean, I just never know what they're doing.
To be fair to the Magic here, I think you can say they took the best player available, right? And they're going to let the talent sort of figure it out. Yes, it's a crowded backcourt. You're right, especially in terms of at the point guard position. I tend to agree with Murph. You got to trade somebody here. But I like Jalen Suggs. I am high on Jalen Suggs.
Yeah,
I think Jalen Suggs is going to be a good player. I hate the term winning player, and Cole Anthony can play the two. Our producer Greg says I don't agree.
I don't know
whatsoever. I don't know about that at all.
Yeah, Suggs is probably the guy that plays two out of all of them.
I could see that more. Yeah.
Let me mention this real quick. Yes. Markelle Fultz, 3 years, $50 million contract he signed a while back. That starts this year. Okay, so like, you owe Markelle Fultz $50 million. I don't think there are any player option, team option. I don't think there are any options. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I will have to look at that, but he's starting that contract. So I mean, there's a commitment there as well. I don't know if Jalen Suggs, gets flipped, because that could still happen, but we'll see.
We shall see. That'll be interesting.
I agree, though. You got to take the best player available there. I don't think, especially because it drops off after the top 5. So I mean, what are you going to do? Take a chance on book night? I mean, Suggs is the best player available right now.
Yeah, so sometimes I'm with that in figuring out. I think this next pick that we're coming up with the Thunder is really interesting. What they do there, I think a lot of people thought the Thunder might
fuck that. Give me another trade, Dex.
Trade. Trade. Well, see, I was going to get that, and I was wondering, would the Thunder now think about maybe trading down? Do they want to try to, depends on how Murph, you think there's a big drop off here?
Not a bit. Well, yeah, actually, I think. Well, I mean, Kuminga, I think talent-wise, he might be on that level. People are kind of down on him, it seems. So I think just straight up talent potential, I think Kuminga is not a huge drop off. I like book night, but Suggs to book night, I think is a drop.
Yeah. Evin, is there any guys you've looked at that you might think have the best? Who do you think is the next best player available right now here in the draft for somebody to look at, or somebody's caught your eye?
So I mean, like Murph said, and I mean, I would default to whatever Murph says as of right now anyway. But like, it's that 5, and then looking at the different projections, different mocks, like, you got guys who like 6 to 14, they go just about anywhere, and then after that, it's 14 through 40 and whatever. So it's just like,
right.
You take the known quantity as best you can, and even if it's a miss, like, are you gonna rock with Cole Anthony and Markelle as the backcourt? I mean, is that the backcourt of the future? if they develop, if things work out, it's a Cinderella story for Kel. Great, but you can't bet on that. You can't. So
Right. And Suggs was a sure thing there. I feel like, well, I mean, nobody's a sure thing in the draft, right? I would say this draft is, it's a crapshoot. There's no locks here, but you have to go. What you're saying, Evan, is you got to go which player you think makes the most sense in terms of value. And 3 years, 50 million for Fultz, that's a lot to figure out. But that's what the GMs get paid the big bucks, right, guys? That's what they get paid to do. Somebody's got to figure that out.
I haven't, and I like Fultz. I haven't given up on
Me too.
Fultz. But we'll see. I mean,
just
you
be
got
hurt.
you have Fultz, Cole, and Suggs, and if they actually have those three guys going into training camp, it'd be fun to watch to see how they battle against each other. How who stands out the most. I kind of like out of those three. I kind of like Suggs though. I saw what Suggs did last year, all season at Gonzaga. I mean, he was tough, man. He was a beast on both ends of the floor, high IQ, very athletic, very down to earth, even on and off the court. So I kind of like Suggs there, and I've always been a big Cole Anthony fan since he was a kid in the city, but Suggs is tough.
Yeah, Suggs is tough. I think he can have an impact there. We also got to remember they still have Wendell Carter Jr. on that team. They're going to be looking to develop him further. That's what it comes down. That's definitely what it comes down to with Orlando. Can they develop these guys? Can they find the right guys? There has to be a little luck, like Evan's talking about. You got to hope some of these guys pan out in some sort of way, whether it's Cole, whether it's Fultz. You got to hope for that, But Suggs, no doubt, to me, is the best player that was left on the board here. Now, this to me is where the draft gets really interesting. And I do think you're right, Evan. I think Evan's completely right on this, right? 7 to 14. I mean, you can go any way you like. It's just about who you think. Maybe this is where you might draft more for fit because there's so much commonality in terms of value for these players. But somebody could take Boot Night next, right? Somebody might.
And what's really fit? What does that even mean?
I'm not even sure.
You don't even know who these.
Well, for Oklahoma City, it don't mean shit because they don't really got much on their roster right now. I understand it's a draft, but it's like, I want is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander gonna get traded? That's what I want to talk about now, because we're seeing some smoke where Oklahoma City is like, where he's available, but we're not quite sure if we want to deal him. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I don't know, but you can get a lot back for him. The tricky thing about, we've talked about this with Colin Sexton as well. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, like everyone else in this draft class, one more year, you have to extend him. And he's probably going to be somebody that is going to want a max contract. And if he does what he did this past year, rightfully so. However, if Oklahoma City is going to tank again, is that going to be something that he wants to be involved with? That's what I wonder about as well. I'm not saying he's going to ask for a trade, but I think he could potentially get a lot back, and Oklahoma City is obviously trying to just get as much draft capital as possible. They have Kemba Walker now, which people I think forget about, and they're probably going to turn him into something positive and then trade him in February to whomever needs a point guard at that point. So I wonder if this 6th overall pick, whoever it is going to sort of impact SGA's future as a potential star and potential future all-star in this league.
Well, I'll tell you what, when we have the information rolling in like it has been in the early part of this draft, and now we're kind of in this bit of a lull, it makes me wonder if OKC is trying to trade this pick at all in some way. Are they trying to make some sort of last-minute deal? It's going to be very interesting because I don't know who they take here. Do they go? Kuminga's a guy that has a lot of upside. Do they do that? But this is why, like Evan said, between 7 and 14, who knows? I have no idea what they are going to do here. We are going to wait for a word on that and what comes in here. But guys, also want to talk about, there was a trade a couple days ago that really impacted some things.
Now we're fucking talking.
Yeah, here we go. The energy for the trades. You see, guys, energy for the trades. All right, here's the pick. We'll get back to that in 1 second. Oklahoma City, according to sources, will be picking at number 6. They're going with a little international flavor. Josh Giddey at 6.
Okay. From Australia.
Australia, played in the NBL, showed a lot of talent in terms of passing the ball. It still seems like there needs to be some improvement on his shot, but he does seem to be a fantastic passer. He even looked good in the exhibition games. You saw with him playing with Australia. He hasn't been playing the Olympics, obviously, because he doesn't want to get hurt before the draft. But Josh Giddey as a pick here, what do you guys think about Giddey? Is this a good pick for OKC? Is this the best fit? I mean, OKC needs talent, and he's got some upside.
There's my answer.
Yeah.
Next.
I mean, it really goes with it goes with what Evan just said, like about it was a crapshoot from here on out. Like it could be anything from here to 14. Any of these players could go anywhere.
Look, I think Kemba, Giddey, and SGA could be fun, but like,
I forgot Kemba was on the roster. I forgot about that.
So here's my thing with Giddey. He's got the balls to throw some passes that like I don't see very many even professionals throw like in like pickup games or anything. Like the way he's just like he's not afraid, and I think he's like 6'8". So if you can maximize his passing, like on the low end, if he turns into Joe Ingles, like that's a solid NBA level pro. But if he turns into something else, then you're looking at like Poku, who's basically a 7-foot wing. Look at SGA, who is, his burden of creation last season, like the way he had to do everything and basically off the bounce. And, he was a top tier talent like before he got hurt. Yeah, bad team, big stats guy. But I really think that what SGA was doing, like not many people could do given that roster construct. Now you're talking about the three of them together, I think that's a lot of fun. I think you're going to see some reckless, irresponsible basketball get played, and that's going to be so much fun.
Perfect for that team.
Now I'm sold on the Thunder. And also, listen, Dex, you know this better than I do. These white people are going to be going crazy when Josh Giddey and Poku take the floor together. You know that shit is good. All the NBA reporters that have podcasts, some of them that we actually like also, they're going to be going crazy when Josh Giddey and Poku make highlights together. So I guess a win-win for Oklahoma City.
So you're basically saying they're going to be Giddey over Giddey and Poku? Is that what they're going to be doing?
Oh, the low-hanging fruit.
Hey, it was low-hanging fruit there. But listen, maybe this is the way people are looking at stuff to what Evan is saying as well, right? You can never have enough passing or playmaking. You also can never have enough shot creation or shot making too, which is also important. But guys that can make plays with the ball in their hands, we'll see how good Giddey is with that. As Evan said, he hasn't seen a pass that he would not like to make. He can make the elite level passes that we can see a Doncic make, a Trae Young, LeBron James, obviously. Those guys that can make those cross-court passes, skip passes between two defenders. He can do that kind of stuff. Now, will he not turn the ball over? I don't know. That'll be really interesting to see. So that could be really interesting to see. And Shams has reported that OKC traveled last week into California to have a private meeting with Josh Giddey per sources, and then they drafted him tonight. So very, very interesting there.
From the same league that Lonzo Ball and RJ Hampton came from also in Australia. Yeah. Good league out there too. One of the best pro leagues in the country. In the world, in the fucking country.
One of the best pro leagues in the world.
You're such an American. You're such an American.
Yeah.
Listen.
Basketball around the world. Come on, Brian. No respect for basketball around the world. Just disrespecting these other leagues.
From the guy who watches fucking BSN PR pro games in Puerto Rico. You know what I'm saying? Like La Liga. You know what I mean? Look, I'm the guy who revealed on this podcast that if you look hard enough in NBA 2K17, you can find Luka Doncic on Real Madrid. He just has like a 56 overall. Okay.
Well, that was a mess.
That was low.
He was like 16, 17 years old.
He was still not a 56 overall. That's my point. Even at 16, 17.
They didn't know who he was.
That's their fault. They messed up. They messed up on that. Like that's their fault. Does anybody have any idea who's going to get picked next? Could it be Book Knight? Could it be it could be anybody?
Who's on the board?
Probably Book Knight, but we were going the Pelicans. I want to talk about that Pelicans trade because we were going
I'm sorry. Before that, we go in that direction with the Pelicans trade.
It's all about the trades for me. But like with Joe, what was it, Dex? Completely right. It was Jonas Valanciunas,
Oh,
Those
right.
for
Jonah,
Eric Bledsoe and Steven Adams, and there was some sort of draft compensation involved there. But
and
those
the swaps between 10 and 17, and then the swaps of their second round picks. The numbers of those are escaping me right now, but they swapped first round picks this year. So the Pelicans went down from 10 to 17, where Memphis had, and Memphis moved up 7 spots, along with taking on the contracts of Bledsoe and Steven Adams.
So
the year after they added them.
Right,
by the
right.
way.
So it was the Pelicans. You know, they made they did the ridiculous move getting those 2 guys last year, and then they trade them. They realize that, and they get rid of both of them this year. And under the circumstances, I'll take Valanciunas because that's not a bad guy to have.
Murph, do you like him next to Zion? Because that's your boy.
Yeah, because it gives him a little spacing. Valanciunas is a very very versatile on offense. He can shoot from the outside, so it gives Zion space.
Evan, what do you
Yeah.
think? Zion,
Yeah, I mean-
Zion and Valanciunas.
I'm working on a Valanciunas video right now because I think,
Mm.
I mean, Ja obviously the Grizzlies' best player from last year, most important probably, but like night in night out, like I'm watching it now, like going through. I'm on game like 65 right now before I get to the playoffs, but like the way Valanciunas plays, it doesn't really matter who else is around him. Like he's not clogging the paint like Steven Adams was or anything like that. So like the fact that he can come in there, I mean, is anybody going to survive in the paint with Valanciunas and Zion in there? I don't know, but they can play high low. Zion is I mean, at this point he's not an underrated passer, but he's a good passer. JV also a good passer. Like they're gonna beat up some people inside.
Yep.
So I'm also intrigued from the aspect of like, so I think the Zion and Valanciunas thing can work. However, they want Kyle Lowry, which is what we're seeing a lot of the Pelicans do. And to me, while I can see that from Kyle, I'm probably not doing that at this stage of my career unless they pay me like an obscene amount of money. Then whatever, I'll go to New Orleans and be there for Mardi Gras and shit with Zion. But like in terms of timeline, Lonzo Ball I feel like is perfect for them, and they have that money where I don't know if they're gonna match any offer that he gets. And I think the Knicks should be pursuing Lonzo Ball hard, which you've heard me say before in terms of needing a floor general, a guy that can knock down 3-pointers, like actually getting a point guard and putting the ball in his hands more than he had it last year. I think that's something that can make sense. But I think that they should just keep Lonzo Ball instead of trying to pursue Kyle Lowry, because for what? Like Zion's really young. Lonzo Ball throws him amazing alley oops. And obviously, his 3-point shot and his free throw shot has gotten a lot better. He doesn't get some, but I think that they should be able to like pull that off. So I'm surprised at how much they like Kyle Lowry. So I'm interested to see what happens there, because we've heard Kyle Lowry linked to legitimately about 4 or 5 teams, though the Lakers are one of them, and I'm not sure if that's necessarily still the case.
No, that's not the case anymore.
Yeah.
That's definitely not going to happen. Golden State will be picking Jonathan Kuminga at 7.
Okay.
Woj and Shams both reported there's a lot of discussions around trades for that, but Woj just also said that the trade talks are now dwindling, so it appears Golden State will keep Kuminga at 7, a player with a lot of upside there and athleticism. I wanted to ask.
I'm still skeptical that they keep him, though.
We'll see. We'll see. And I wanted to ask Evan about this too, because he brought up with Valanciunas and his ability to space the floor, which I think is definitely helpful for New Orleans. Do you see Valanciunas, and from what you saw, he didn't attempt that many threes per game last season. I think it was just under 1 a game, like something like 0.8 or something about that. Do you see him in his new role with the Pelicans? Do you see him taking more threes? Are they going to require that of him? Is that something you think he'll be comfortable from what you've seen from his game thus far to do that?
So here's my thing. It's he's willing to shoot the 3, which is, I mean, this is a different conversation, right? Because like
right.
you can space the floor all you want. If you're not going to shoot that shot, no one cares, right? It's the Marc Gasol principle of like, man, he can really space the floor, but if he's not shooting that shot, who cares? With Valanciunas, my favorite thing in the world is he'll pump fake, and if you bite, it's over. He's at the rim, or he's at the nail, floater, cash. So he's willing to pump on that shot, and if you don't have that discipline, you're done. So I don't think it matters that he is going to shoot as much, because like he made under 33s on the season, but he attempted one, and based on the film that I'm watching, like, I guess the scout isn't out on him yet, because when he pump fakes, people bite. Like Serge Ibaka, who was his teammate in Toronto for like half a season, he bit on the pump fake blow by dunk. Like, what are you doing? So he'll act like it. His pump fake is, what's the word? It's convincing enough to make you think he's gonna shoot it, and that's all he needs.
That's all he needs. Again, guy who attempted less than a three per game last season. I think we'd like to see him do more, but like, because you feel like at some point, Evan, people are going to catch up and be like, all right, maybe we shouldn't bite on that pump fake, but it hasn't happened yet. So who knows? Coming in at 8, Orlando has the 8th pick. They are picking Franz Wagner. With this pick, Murph, you're not a fond of this pick at all.
No, I only I saw him a few times during the college season. I was never really impressed. He does have a NBA body. His brother, of course, is in the league. His brother was actually a better college player than he was, but he's younger. So yeah, it was just something about Wagner that I didn't understand why he is so well thought of at this stage. But a lot of people are high on him. He was in everybody's mock top 10 pretty much. So we'll see. But I've never been high on him.
Is anybody here shocked at him being taken over Bouknight here? Because I thought a lot of people might have thought that would have been the logical pick for the Magic at 8, but they go with Wagner here. Murph, I know Murph's probably like, no, he probably would have took Bouknight over here. Anybody shocked about that as well?
I mean, I'm not shocked. We were just talking about this. It's like, I mean, Suggs is definitely the better player. It's like, but if you're throwing like Bouknight in there, like that's 4 guards, and we were wondering how the 3 of them fit together. So like, I get it from the standpoint of like, oh, we can see what happens. Like, let's take a flyer on him. Like, it's an upside thing, I think. But
Right.
like Murph is saying, like, I mean, I like Wagner defensively. Like, he can do more than what he looks like he can do. But I think for me, it's what Orlando's doing is like, I don't know who they have on roster that they could keep. I know they have Mo Bamba. I know Jonathan Isaac is hurt.
Right.
I got your roster right here. This is exactly what I'm looking up because
Come
I'm
on,
like,
inspire the Magic fans. Inspire them.
I'll try.
Inspire. They got Suggs. That's the good thing.
Look, they got Suggs. They got Wagner, who a lot of people are high on for reasons. Gary Harris is there next year, who I completely forgot about as we're talking about their loaded backcourt. Granted, he's an expiring contract. I assume they'll try to flip him at some point, maybe even buy him out, but it's going to be $20 million, so we'll see about that. Jonathan Isaac, remember him? He got injured. He is signed to a 4-year, about $70 million deal that begins this year. So beginning this year, you're paying Markelle Fultz and Jonathan Isaac a combined 9 figures. Starting this year, annually, it's obviously not 9 figures, but in total, right? So Jonathan Isaac begins a 4-year deal, $17.4 million a year straight through. Markelle Fultz, as we already mentioned, 16 and a half, then 17. And the last one is not fully guaranteed for whatever that's worth. Terrence Ross is still there, and we saw some reports earlier today that Terrence Ross is in some trade talks or whatever. I feel like he always is, but he's got a couple years left on his deal. Mo Bamba's still there. He's in the last year of his deal. Wendell Carter, Cole Anthony, we've talked about. Chuma Okeke, he's there. Michael Carter Williams is still there, apparently. RJ Hampton, again, another guard. And Dwayne Bacon is also on a not fully guaranteed contract for this season. So Mo Wagner apparently was there and is not any longer. So they got his brother now. I don't know if they're going to keep them together. But yeah, there's your 2021-2022 Orlando Magic.
Well, for now.
Yeah, look, their rosters are always cluttered. Like I remember they had like Alfarouq Aminu, Jonathan Isaac, and another 3-4 tweener just sort of bumping into each other a couple of years ago. I think that was the DJ Augustine team that beat the Raptors in Game 1 and then lost in that series. But like a lot of people, were inspired by that. Um, Look, I don't know. I could, and I can't even begin to like try to figure out who their best player is. I think some people would say that it's Jalen Suggs right now, which is interesting. Depending on how you feel about Jonathan Isaac and I guess Cole Anthony, like, yeah, I mean, look, I hope they have their pick for next year.
I hope
they're
so.
gonna
That's
have
all
a
I
high
got.
pick. They'll have a high one.
They'll have a high one because they got a lot of move. They can still. There's still time, guys. There's still
They have a
free
lot of high
agency
picks though.
starts.
Like they just got Mo Bamba in like the top 5. You know what I mean?
The problem
Like,
with Orlando is Orlando's missed on a lot of these picks over the
And
years.
they just missed again.
oh man, like, well, let me say
But
this.
like I said, Suggs, I'll give him Suggs.
Suggs is a good pick, man.
You got one or two, and their hand was forced into Suggs. Actually, I would assume they thought they'd probably get Barnes.
Like I'm looking at their payroll and I'm like, I don't know what you get for Gary Harris, but I presume that you're gonna try to trade him.
You
Terrence
got a package.
Terrence Ross. I mean, I don't know what you. I mean, when I get 2K22, this might be the team that I try to turn around because this looks like a fucking challenge. Holy shit!
Aren't the Knicks trying to get Terrence Ross?
Ugh.
But he would be good for them. That would actually make sense. I think Terrence Ross, like as a shooter to come off your bench, as a spark plug to play 20 to 25 minutes, and you want him to get 12, 13 points a game and shoot good, shoot a nice percentage from 3. I think he's good. He's not the best at that. Like if you're the Knicks, you'd probably rather just re-sign Reggie Bullock, right? But I think Terrence Ross is not bad. But his contract, I don't think a lot of people are going to love that. Terrence Ross is getting $12.5 million this year, Dex, and then $11.5 next year.
And the reason I would rather re-sign Reggie Bullock is you got his bird rights, and whatever you sign him for, it's only 5.6 against the cap, and I think he can give you better shooting. Maybe not the playmaking in terms of creativity that Ross can do off the dribble, but he can shoot. So I would rather keep the cap flexibility and go with.
I mean, Terrence Ross ain't much of a playmaker though. Like,
now he's not
got
much.
He got better at it last year. I will say that.
I guess the other thing too is I think that he's not going to stay in his lane. When Terrence Ross is feeling himself, yeah, I don't know if you want that experience.
Reggie Bullock was 40% from 3 last year, I believe. I think I checked that earlier today. So
now to keep things rolling, and Murphy,
a lot of Orlando Magic talk.
Murph is so excited about the Mo Wagner pick.
Yeah, and let me just say, Wagner. I know I'm hating on him, whatever, but it's just when you pick that high, I just feel like you should. You got to pick guys who jump when you watch the game. They jump off the page. They jump off the court. You notice them for whatever reason. And Wagner's not one of those guys. He just never. He never like if you're watching a Michigan game last year. First of all, hardly anybody jumped off the page for Michigan. That's not. They had a great season. They were a great team. Played team defense, team offense, but he hardly jumped off the TV screen to you. Like you didn't even notice if he was there. And those are not guys that I think you should pick top 10. I just don't get it.
All right. So we talked about James Bouknight, who a lot of people had rising up the draft through the mocks last couple of months. We've seen him rise. You think he might have got picked possibly at 9 by the Kings? He did not. Davion Mitchell is the pick for the Kings at 9. The Kings,
another team who we never know what they're doing.
Never know what they're doing, but the Kings are taking Davion Mitchell at 9. Murph, do you like this pick for the Kings?
Man. I mean, I like him as a player. It's probably
that's a no.
No, I mean, I like him as a player. It's kind of sad that he has to go to Sacramento. Right. And also, what's the fit there? You got, like we just talked about, the guard situation over there. He's kind of like an undersized 2. You know what I'm saying? He's not really a 1. In his undersized 2, he really kind of came out of nowhere last season in terms of being the player that he was. So we'll see if it's real. He's older. He's 22. So maybe he did find himself last year. He is a very good athlete, very fast, quick, great defensive player. And like I said, he found his shot last year at really an amazing clip. But with all those, like he's not De'Aaron Fox, he's not Halliburton. So where does he fit
Holy
in?
shit, they have Halliburton. That's right.
Yeah, you forgot about that.
What the? Why are they drafting Davion Mitchell then? Oh, whatever, man.
Here we go.
These two fucking teams.
And they still have Buddy Hield. They still have Buddy Hield, right?
It's still Buddy Hield. You didn't talk about that.
Sacramento Buddy Hield, I guess, might get moved. Sacramento, Orlando, Minnesota, Cleveland. Although I have hope for them now. Like, there's just a few of these teams where what are they? I don't know what they're doing. By the way, like Colin Sexton, is he gonna get traded at this point? Do we know?
We don't know.
We don't know.
You're nervous, Dex, because you don't want your Knicks to get him.
I do not.
You're so against this. I don't even think it's that bad if they were, depending on what they give up.
It's that bad.
I don't mind Sexton.
If it's Kevin Knox, let's do this. If it's Kevin Knox, a protected first, and like Obi Toppin, no,
you're not gonna get him for that.
Nope.
You shouldn't get him.
You're gonna get him for more. Kevin Knox. Kevin Knox is valuable.
Kevin Knox. What?
All right. Unprotected first round pick.
Well, no, but I want to add. Well, Gavin, what are your thoughts on Sexton? Have you done? Sorry, Gavin. Evan.
Hour 2 Dex, yo.
Hour two Dex after a long day and not bringing that energy that Brian
Combine the last name and the first name and put the last name first.
And look, I already did that with Wiggins and Wiseman. Like that's two mess ups right there. Evan, have you done any video breakdown on Sexton? Are you as down on him as I am?
I actually, so I have. And the reason, I'm not high on Sexton, I'm not low on Sexton. He is what he is. But here's the thing. He's not the player that he was when he came into the league, which is, I mean, sometimes that's what you get with these young players, right? They're good at what they're good at and they don't improve. Like Colin Sexton shoots a lot of mid-range jumpers at the detriment of like shot selection, everything like that. He's not good at them, but his pull-up jumper, whether you're talking about from deep or from the mid-range, has improved by like leaps and bounds, like every single year. And that's, I think, a testament to like, I mean, I work with some like pro skills trainers and stuff like that. So like, he's a maniac. Like he's in the gym all the time. And I know we talk about NBA guys like that, like, they're getting their reps, stuff like that, but apparently not like Colin Sexton. So like, if you're telling me that he is going to continue to improve the way he has improved, then like I'll take the over on him right now instead of the under. So I mean, I'm not gonna lose my mind trading for him, but right. I believe that he's somebody who's going to continue to get better. And like, gun to my head right now in the league, like I don't believe in as many young guys as I do to get better that way.
Follow-up question.
Feel a little bit better.
Follow-up question. Because one of the teams he's rumored to go to is the Knicks. Another one is potentially Miami, and that would include the Tyler Hero chip. Evan, do you see Colin Sexton working with Jimmy Butler, Bam, and I don't even know what else they would have at that point because it looks like they might rearrange their whole roster. But Jimmy, Bam, Colin Sexton.
So here's my thing: is Miami a playmaking pull-up threat? Is I think what Miami is lacking right now because like. How best to say this? The reason they're so defensively, they're maximizing what they can get out of their guys. But the reason they're so defensively is because they have these lower end athletes that they are relying on to shoulder a big defensive load. Offense, Spo is a great mind. He figures stuff out, like that east to west stuff, second side, third side. That's why Goran Dragic in his mid to late 30s is still doing what he's doing. That's why he's so important, because he can get downhill. Sexton can get downhill. Sexton can pull up. And so I think he'll be, and like I said, he's the type of maniac that like you put him next to Jimmy Butler and Bam, and they'll be like, okay, he can hang. So I think that'll fit better than like putting him on the Knicks maybe.
Interesting. Okay, now you got Brian all hyped about wanting Sexton down in Miami because we all know he is a Miami Heat fan. All right, number 10 pick.
No, I am not.
Number 10 pick is here. So James Bouknight still not picked at number 10, but a guy who recently has been rising up the boards. Murph talked about this guy with me on the NBA Exchange just a couple days ago. He and I both liked him. I was hoping he would be there for the Knicks. He is not. Zaire Williams at number 10 to the Grizzlies. I think that's a really good pick for the Grizzlies. I think he's young. I think he hadn't shown a lot that we got to see at Stanford for a multitude of reasons. But this is a good pick for the Grizzlies where they add some more talent, young talent in there. There won't be a lot of pressure on him. He can do some things with the ball in his hands. Really great athlete. Murph, I know you were high on him.
I told you these mocks, man. I told you these mocks.
Yeah, you did say this. You said there's going to be some guys that were mocked. Because Zaire, I saw him anywhere from 19 to 23 pretty consistently.
By the way, after a COVID college basketball season, we're gonna look back at this draft in like 2-3 years, and we're gonna like redraft it and be like, whoa, this shit did not go down this way. Watch.
Right. I mean, this is a guy who coming into college he was a top guy coming in. And beginning of the college season, he looked the part. You know what I'm saying? Like he was out there, the early in the college basketball season. I mean, he's out there hitting, just looking so smooth, the 6'8", 6'9", pure jumper, off the catch and the dribble, very good athlete. And then, all the COVID stuff happens at Stanford. They couldn't even play in their home gym, I think, all season. They had to, not even their home gym, their home city. They had to go other places in California to play because of the protocols. So of course, then he has some injuries and he doesn't perform. And I'm seeing the mocks that have him in 19, 20, and I'm like, this kid he's not going to go that low. You know what I mean? So, and another guy who I think is like that also is Jalen Johnson from Duke. So we'll see what happens if he goes a little earlier too. But he was just too big of a talent to let drop that far, and so I think Memphis made a great pick.
All right, you like Memphis there, Jalen Johnson. There was some slander being put on his name. I heard that at some podcast this week with people talking about Jalen Johnson, wouldn't trust him, wouldn't take him. But some people were high on Zaire Williams. I even had read some stuff lately that he could go as high as 8. So Memphis, I wonder if this is the guy they wanted all along when they made that trade for Valanciunas to get another wing guy in here that can help them, something they need. I think how well we see Zaire Williams shoot the ball in the league, especially for Memphis, because they do need some help in terms of shooting from the outside, could be very interesting for them there. So Zaire Williams, good pick, man. I know our producer Greg, he's not happy because he wanted Zaire Williams to the Knicks, but like Murph said, he probably shouldn't have lasted that long at all whatsoever. I wonder how Orlando's feeling. Like, could have took Zaire Williams, but
yeah, I think I would take him over. I would take him over Wagner. Yes, definitely.
They like Franz Wagner. I don't know what the Orlando.
Do you think it's Murph? Do you think it's a reach? Was it a reach today taking Zaire Williams at 10, or do you feel like this is good value right where they took him?
No, because I mean it goes what Evin said. Like once you got past those 6, and I really had Kuminga in the top 6. Once you get past those guys, then it is kind of a crapshoot. So why not go with like the guy with the most upside, the most talented player, and not look at what they really not go completely what they did in college in terms of their statistics and that type of thing. So to me, I mean, taking a guy like Wagner ahead of a guy like Zaire Williams, who was a guy who popped off the court when you watched him, I think is crazy. So it's not a reach at all. Any of these guys can go from here on out.
Man, this is going to be really interesting to see how this goes going forward, because who knows what anybody's going to do or is going to pick. A lot of good guys, some good players still left on the board. I think there's some players that can still help people here on the board. And I wonder what's going to be interesting as we look down this now, as we're coming to the end of the lottery picks, is our guys going to go for that upside, like you said, Murph? Are they going to be maybe want to take some players that they think can help right now? Trey Murphy's a guy who's been talked about that. Chris Duarte is another guy that's been talked about. Can he work right now? Going in. I see my man Nick Arias up in here. What up, Nick? How you doing, man?
Nick?
Thank
Long
you for
time no see.
checking in.
What up, Rob?
Rob, what's up, man? Good to see you. Let's go, Brooklyn. I see the Nets fans in there. Rob, let us know what you think the Nets should do with 27 and 29. Should they package both of those and maybe move up? That should be very interesting.
They ain't keeping
Yeah,
both
shout
of
out to
those.
Rob Fusick. Yeah, long time. We haven't chatted in a while, man. Good
Right.
to see you. Good to see you there. But there's a lot of interest in what can happen right now.
We
And
haven't gotten into Ben Simmons yet, Dex. What we
we
doing?
have it. I'm gonna hold that for 1 second. We're gonna get into that. Our producer Greg, one of his guys, he was really high on. I've been mentioning this guy. We thought he might go a little higher. James Bouknight is off the board. Charlotte will pick him at 11. So James Bouknight is there. I wonder what that means in terms of them keeping Malik Monk, if they will do
And
that.
Devontae Graham.
On, and Devontae Graham as well. That should be really interesting. Murph, what do you think about this fit with Bouknight for the Hornets?
I think it's a good pick. He was one of the best guys on the board for sure, and it's kind of a value pick at 11. As far as this draft is going, and then you put him with a guy like LaMelo. There's a lot of things going on there. I do think it's probably Monk can say peace. He's probably gone. And I like Monk when he was drafted, but he hasn't doesn't seem like he's taking the game as seriously as he should have. And so it looks like he'll be on the move at some point. But Bouknight, I mean, the best player available, and he fits in. He fits with that team, and he has height. He's about 6'7", so puts him in a little different stratosphere than Graham. So yeah, I like the pick.
Yeah, I like that. So this could be a really good backcourt. It's got some size. People talked about a scoring ability. Could be a really good scorer. So we will see what we can do there. Evan, when you looked at Charlotte last year, especially LaMelo Ball and what he did, I'm sure you've looked at a lot of tape and film on him and what he did. Were you surprised at the impact that he had as immediately as he did when he came into the league?
No. I mean, I don't remember the context of it because it feels like 50 years ago or whatever. but last year's draft was crazy. Like I understood you do the upside for Wiseman or whatever the Warriors did to rationalize that, but LaMelo should have gone number 2 probably for me, especially his fit next to a guy like Draymond, a guy like Steph. Like the dude just plays basketball. He'll fit in anywhere you throw him in. Like people are talking about when Bradley Beal went down for Team USA. Like I don't necessarily know if LaMelo would have been the guy to choose, but his name got thrown around because he would fit on Team USA. He would connect the pieces, as it were, right? Because he doesn't need the ball, but when he has it, he makes stuff happen.
Yeah, and I remember Murph and I talked a lot about LaMelo before last year's draft, and Murph was saying clearly to me he thought he was the best player in the draft, thought he should go number 1. I remember you saying that, Murph. He thought he should go number 1. Obviously, was the best player in that draft. We saw this last year, winning the Rookie of the Year, and he was great. And that I think it'd be tremendous to see what Bouknight can do next to him because he's a guy, he finds people. Bouknight is a good scorer, should be able to play well off of LaMelo. And as Evan said, when LaMelo doesn't have the ball, he's still really good rebounder.
Yeah. And remember,
catch and shoot wasn't bad either. That was one of the things that impressed me. His catch and shoot opportunities. He kind of capitalized off of that. It wasn't bad at all.
Yeah, I think he reminds me of Jamal Crawford when he came into the league. Like those same kind of skills. He could play the 1 to 2. I remember early on in Crawford's career with the Knicks, Isaiah had him at the 1. He was more of a combo guard. And then, obviously later in his career, he became like a scoring specialist off the bench as a 6-man. But he reminds me a lot of Crawford, same kind of athletic ability. Could handle the ball, a little flashy when he wants to be, and a shot maker. So we'll see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I like Bouknight here. Brian, are you hyped on this? Or are you just ready to talk about Ben Simmons possibly being traded?
No, 3 things. 1, went to LaSalle Academy High School. Same school as God Shamgod, Joakim Noah, Ron Artest. Good company there.
Yeah, you're kind of guys. Yeah,
Joakim Noah also went to my high school, Poly Prep.
Yeah. I think he transferred from LaSalle, went to Poly Prep. I actually think that Hay can play some three next to LaMelo Ball and Terry Rozier, and I would like to see how that goes. I don't think they're
Hmm.
keeping Devontae Graham, as we mentioned. Maybe they can work out some sort of sign and trade because I feel like we're going to see a lot of those. And Malik Monk is probably a goner, and I have no idea what his market is going to be like, but he will land somewhere because he got better last year compared to what he has showed previously. But that's interesting to me. Like you're starting to look at, okay, are they gonna have, I don't know who their center is yet. There's potential about them trying to poach Jared Allen. Maybe they can get Rashawn Holmes, which would be very interesting. But you have Terry Rozier at your two, LaMelo Ball at your one, Book Knight if he starts beside them. He might not right away. PJ Washington is still there. If you can get like a good center that makes sense and not like Bismack Biyombo again, then yeah, I feel like you're able to make something work out. Also, quick aside that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But,
Uh-oh.
but
There we
Dexter,
go.
Dexter,
Probably has to do with wrestling.
no boxing. Very close, but boxing.
I'm sorry. I got the wrong violent sport. Apologize.
Dexter, this is exciting for you and I as boxing guys.
Is it? Okay.
And I don't know if you are, Evan. I don't know if you care about boxing at all. But WBO ordered Sean Porter, which means Sean Porter has to fight Terrence Crawford at some point.
Oh.
Next? Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Huh? How about that?
Now
Greg,
interesting.
that's right. Greg, you are a boxing guy too. That's a damn. Listen, I've been wanting that to happen for a while. So yeah. But anyway, back to the Charlotte Hornets because we can talk about boxing another time. They did just trade for Mason Plumlee, though. I mean, if I could get a better center, I'm gonna get a better center.
He's not bad.
You know what I mean? Like if I could get a better center, I'll get a better center. But Mason Plumlee is to me like a stopgap or potentially a bridge to like what their plan actually is. And then Robert's comment, which we have not addressed, which he left a while ago that we put on the screen. I would love to see the Nets pack those 27 and 29. I believe the picks are Dexter that you mentioned before. The first.
Yes.
27 and 29 with DeAndre Jordan, who doesn't want to trade DeAndre Jordan at this point, for a true big man. I have no idea what that would entail. Maybe it would be Mason Plumlee.
Oh yeah, who Larry here mentioned, and right, we talked about that trade earlier.
Yeah,
in which they got Mason Plumlee. So yeah, I mean, if that
not a bad fit, but I'm saying
not
like
a bad fit at all.
Charlotte, like I think they understand like I don't think they're gonna move about their offseason being like, yo, Mason Plumlee's definitely our center. Like I think if they can get Rashawn Holmes, they should try to do it.
All right. The Spurs have made their pick. We have Josh Primo at number 12.
Wow. Sleeper.
Huh.
You know, Murph, are you being serious there? I could not tell if you were being serious.
Yeah, no, I wasn't expecting him to go so high.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I mean, you got to figure that San Antonio is going to do something different. I was thinking they might go overseas.
Yeah, I think a lot of people thought that.
This is a young kid, man. 18 years old. Played at Alabama. Statistically didn't do much there, but showed a lot of potential. So it's an interesting pick. That's all I can say.
Another
Canadian kid too, right?
I was gonna say another NBA player from Canada.
Yeah.
Look, people were making fun of Team Canada for not qualifying for the Olympics this year. They're going to get in at some point, okay? The next Olympics are in 3 years. And by that point, if Shea Gilgeous is healthy, if the majority of their guys are healthy, they could have a team full of NBA guys. And,
yeah, it's shocking, really, that they haven't been there.
Yeah, Josh Primo is going to be, somebody who could make that team if he's any good. I do wonder how he got the last name Primo because Spanish word. You know what I mean? I was looking to see like, is there any like Panamanian, Venezuelan, in his background?
There may be.
And I was shocked to find out that he was born in Canada and raised in Canada. So now I have even more questions. But shout out to Josh Primo.
Canada is like a melting pot. He could be from anywhere.
The Spurs, by the way,
that is correct.
The Spurs, by the way, they also have a lot of guards, so they have some things to figure out. I don't know if DeJounte Murray's getting traded, but we were hearing some of that. Like that's potentially something that could happen. They still have Lonnie Walker, and the DeMar DeRozan thing. I don't know what they're going to do. I would be a little bit surprised that he would be back there. So I have no idea. We'll see.
Yeah, they've got a
Derek
lot,
White. Derek White's still there, right?
Yep.
Derek White's
Derek
also still there.
Derek White
So,
is still there, so they have a lot.
a lot of guards in the NBA. Jesus.
Woj just tweeting that Indiana is thrilled at the idea of Chris Duarte being available
No.
at 13. This is first sources,
No.
and I think
What the
I
fuck
think
is he gonna do in Indiana?
I
Come
think
on,
I
man.
we'll play
Hit threes.
basketball. We'll play basketball and hit threes.
Oh my god.
I don't know why our producer Greg is anti Chris
I'll be
Duarte.
pissed
I'm
if
not.
I were. Oh, the Knicks better
Uh,
package 19 and 21 and get that man.
I'm just happy that Corey Kispert is sliding.
Do they have
Which-
fucking Rice in Indiana? Do they have?
Yeah.
I can say that. I can say
Rice?
that.
Do they have Rice in Indiana?
Yeah, man.
Well,
Shit.
where do they not have Rice?
They better have Rice.
I ain't never been to
They
got-
Indiana. I'm
They
asking.
got
you.
white. It's white rice though. Don't worry.
Well, Indiana is picking Chris Duarte at number 13. That is a done deal. He is off the board. Chris Duarte will be going to the Pacers. I think this is a guy at 24 that can, at years of age, because some people have issues with the age, whatever. But I think he's a guy who can come in right away and play and be a good fit, right? Murph, don't you think so?
Yeah, I mean, and that's what people are banking on. Older guy, he's not going to be, scared to play. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about his upside so much, but he was a very, very good player at Oregon last season. Very good perimeter player. So we'll see.
It's going to be very interesting. And you talked about Kispert, which Murph said to me. We actually did not say we had this on the show, but we talked about this off the NBA Exchange. We talked about how we've consistently seen Kispert anywhere between 9 and 13 on a lot of mocks, and he appears to be sliding. Now, some of that happens because Zaire Williams has jumped up in a spot that many people didn't think so. Primo jumping up as well. So, you said these mocks will be out of whack, and we're starting to see that right now, especially in this range. Now, we're about to get to 14, and Evin talked about 7 to 14. You can go anywhere. Right. And Evin, I forgot what you said too. You said 14 to 40.
14 to 40, yeah.
14 to 40.
That's true. Because
I can really do anything.
Remember, we talked about Isaiah Stewart last year. The mocks had him in the second round, and he went 15 or something like that. So I think it's something similar in this draft.
Yeah, and Beef Stew was a good pick. Played really well for the Pistons last year. So it's going to be really interesting to see what is there next. I think Duarte can have an impact. I know Brian did so. Our producer Greg is relieved that the Knicks are not picking them. I don't know why. I don't know. I'm starting to get a little nervous because it looks like the Knicks fans are going to be pissed no matter what, because now we're in this range. We're upcoming to 14. Knicks fans is always angry.
I don't know, man. I'm expecting them to make I like what they have there. Leon Rose and what's my guy's name that they just re-upped? The GM?
Scott Perry.
Scott Perry.
Yeah.
I mean, he's made good picks in the past.
Yeah.
So, I'm excited to see what they do.
I'm gonna trust the process. And yes, Greg.
Now they're gonna get McBride. Watch, Greg. They're gonna get
God.
McBride. Moses Moody's gonna go 18 before you guys pick. That's what's gonna happen. Moses Moody is somebody that I would be looking at. You know what I mean? Trey Mann's gonna be 17. Watch. It's gonna now.
It's gonna be interesting. But I see. I'm with Murph on this, in that I'm scary to say this as a Knicks fan. I actually trust the front office in finding guys that are going to fit and get into the culture. I'm not really nervous about it. Like, just identify your guys and believe in your player development and get it done. You know what I mean? The Knicks had a good pick last year with Quickly that they got at 25.
Yeah.
So
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, we saw Obi develop late in the season. So you got to just
without summer league.
Right.
By the
way. Good point.
Without
summer league. Yeah, imagine with these guys getting a summer league and getting in the gym and working and seeing what happens there. So
that's why I'm not killing none of these rookies. Like some of these rookies got a lot of shit this past year from obviously the fan bases that they play at or whatever. They didn't have summer league. They didn't have a lot of, like, the draft happened and then all of a sudden we were playing regular season games, and that's not how the NBA is supposed to operate. So
guys, do we think we're at this point in the night where maybe we're not seeing as many trades? We had all these trades before. See, there we go. I told you guys this from the top of the show. Brian doesn't get the trades that he wants.
Everybody's scared, son.
Action.
This is what I was saying before. everybody's waiting for one team to just jump out and pull the trigger. Everybody's waiting for that first team to just go out and make the big trade, and then all the dominoes are going to fall.
Well, I mean,
Same thing with
the Lakers kind of did that, setting
same
at the
thing
top of
with
the night.
yeah, and that, but that's also been in the works for a couple of days. I think that people are just trying to put some shit together, and just not really doing it right now. Golden State, is the one to me that's like the most surprising. Not that I think they were going to necessarily get Bradley Beal, but I'm still skeptical that they're going to keep. Who was it that they drafted at number 7 overall? Jonathan Kuminga. And they're coming up
next.
They're coming up again at 14. Like, I'll be curious to see what they do. I mean, it's not like I can't see Kuminga fit, but
for all we know right now, they could be picking for Washington. We do not know that right now. You figure that will come up. We also have Murph's boy Kispert is still on the board. I don't know about you, Murph, but doesn't Kispert seem like a Knicks special right now?
No, that's the old Knicks. That's the old Knicks. There were a few guys that I was like, if I was a fan of a team in the lottery, and they took either Wagner or Kispert, I would throw up. That's all I'm saying.
Oh man, you love that. He's the next Joe Harris here in New York, man.
He's the next Joe Harris. Joe Harris was the second round pick. Okay, so go get him in the second round. Okay, I do think he's probably better than Joe Harris.
Right.
It took Joe Harris a long time to become what he is now. So I think Kispert comes in a little better than what Joe Harris does. But
Joe Harris,
I could see Kispert take Kispert late first round.
Yeah. So yeah. We shall see. I'm very intrigued to see what the Warriors do here because, as Brian said, it's going to be interesting if they are actually going to keep that pick. And they're closing in on their second pick in the lottery, and it will be at number 14, Moses Moody to the Warriors. He will be going to the Warriors. So Moody.
They're packaging this shenanigans, man. They're packaging this shit. Moses Moody and Kuminga.
Yeah, they're too young. They're trying to win now, right?
I think when they at both times they picked 7 and 14, I think they actually got the most talented guy available. Not necessarily the best player available, but the most talented guy available. Because I still don't know how I feel about Jonathan Kuminga yet as a prospect. And I know in New York City, Rens, Jayhawks, shout out to them, but we'll see as it pertains to like the NBA style of play. And with Moses Moody, I think I would argue that he's probably the most talented guy left on the board. And he's going to Golden State, and suddenly they have a lot of wings. So I mean, we'll see. I think they're going to make some sort of move, and they've sort of announced that intention loud and clear. I'm also looking forward to when the Knicks play the Pacers and Chris Duarte gives it to the Knicks so that Greg could get a get a text from me.
Come on,
about passing on.
We don't need another. We don't really. Knicks fans don't really need another Pacer giving it to the Knicks. We experienced that before. I don't think we really need that.
You're gonna be pissed when he's defending the shit out of some of the guards that the Knicks have attacked.
Does anybody think with these picks that the Warriors have made, I was going to say the Wizards, would the Wizards be interested in these guys? You now could offer Kuminga, Moody, Wiseman, right? You know what these guys are, maybe along with Wiggins to bring back Beal. I mean, is that intriguing enough for the Wizards?
I mean, it seems like it's up to Beal, whether he wants to go or not.
Yeah, and guess who picks next? The Wizards. They're the team picking next. So it's still interesting. You got Trey Murphy on the board,
and we're done with the lottery. The lottery.
Done with the lottery. Yeah, now this is in the insane range. I'm going to say, Evan, the insane range, 14 to 40. We're not going to be here till 40, guys. But this is the insane range. We're just going to be doing the first round, but this is the insane range. Anything can happen. Who knows who's going? Kispert could be a Knick, and I'll be overjoyed.
But just to back up what Brian was saying about Golden State, we all know that they're in win now mode. And you just picked a kid, two young players that are nowhere near ready to win now with. So they've got to package those guys and maybe some other things together, get some veterans.
Let's also throw this because I know Brian wanted to talk about this. What about Golden State getting into the Ben Simmons sweepstakes? And before we hit that, Evan, I'd like to ask you this. I know you also probably watched a ton of film on Ben Simmons, particularly in the playoffs this year. When you look at Ben Simmons, for any team that might want to acquire him, what's wrong with Ben Simmons right now? He seems afraid to shoot. What's wrong with Ben Simmons?
He seems afraid.
Seems. I was trying to be nice there. Try to be nice, guys. Try to be nice.
So I think I mean if you look at the way he profiles, right? The things he can do, he's not a scorer, obviously. He's a creator. But the difference with this is like, and I don't want to throw too much like coaching isms in here, but like the difference between like the mindset of like I'm the number one guy, or I'm like, if I'm not A1, I'm 1B or whatever to Embiid, right? The mindset of that is he gonna fit in places where there's nobody objectively better than him. Like if he goes to the Warriors, for instance, like that's an infrastructure that like can handle him. Not to say that like he's Rodman like in any way, but like you want like Steph, Draymond, Clay, those guys are gonna be like, all right, so you're gonna come in here thinking you're the man. Like, what have you won? And he's gonna be like, nothing, and you fall in line in that way. Or like a Miami, for instance. I'm not saying that like he's going there, but like you have to have a certain type of infrastructure to be able to absorb a guy like him and then maximize his potential. Because if he's the best guy on the roster, or he can do the most stuff on the roster, then he's going to want to view himself as the number one guy. And this is all armchair psychology stuff I don't really like doing. But at this point, the Ben Simmons like slander has gotten out of control. Like he's still like an all defensive player, like maybe one of the 5 best like switchable, interchangeable players, especially defensively. Like he had his struggles against the Hawks and stuff, but he still brought it defensively, So it's going to take a very unique situation to be able to take him in and maximize him on both ends.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see. We'll get back to Ben Simmons in 1 second. Kispert is off the board.
Oh no.
Kispert 15. Is off the board at 15 to the Wizards.
Oh God!
Who I guess want to add more shooting around Bradley Beal.
Or he's Beal's replacement. He can shoot.
Well, that's nice. I guess Corey Kispert. So Knick fans, as I know, our producer Greg is very disappointed here. Corey Kispert will not be a Knick, and everybody can be disappointed. I guess. I guess they can. Do you like Kispert for the Wizards here, Murph?
No, I don't.
Do you like Kispert for anyone?
Like I said, he's got to be. Yeah, you got to get him in the 20s, late 20s to me.
A little bit too high for Kispert. Now, what could make Knick fans excited here, and some of these teams picking later? Murphy's still in play. There's some good players still in play for the Knicks to get here. We'll get to that in a second later. But I also want to get back to Simmons, and I'm glad, Evin, we appreciate that breakdown of where you think he might be able to fit in the structure he might be able to fit in. Is that a guy you would look at too, Brian, if in terms of Simmons, if you're Golden State? Should you just put your focus on Beal? Because we're all agreeing they're not probably going to keep these young guys they drafted. Is Simmons a guy you would look at and you think could fit into that culture?
I've warmed up to the idea of him playing alongside Steph, Clay, Draymond Green. You know what I mean? And I don't know if James Wiseman would still be there. I would think not, but I'm not quite sure. I don't know what Philadelphia would do with James Wiseman if they're going to try to play him with Joel Embiid, because I don't, necessarily know how you're going to pull that off, because the point would be to get him more space. But
right
for Golden State, like, yeah, I think if you can do it, I think that the package that we saw before we got on here, it was Wiseman, Wiggins, 7 and 14 for Simmons, which to me is a fair offer. Not as good as the one Toronto reportedly gave him, which was, Kyle Lowry, Fred VanVleet, OG Anunoby, and the number 4th overall pick. But it wasn't a bad offer. If I'm Philly, maybe you want a little bit more. I think while Ben Simmons is still one of the best 5 or so switchable defenders, as Evan said, I do think that in terms of trades, like Philly is asking for a lot, rightfully so. But I think they clearly like want to trade him, but they clearly want a lot back for him. They're not just going to deal him for the sake of dealing him, which I respect to a point, but I also don't think they should risk pricing themselves out because that Toronto deal was an excellent offer. I think that Ben Simmons will fit in Golden State though, because it's just going to be a pain in the ass to play against them because you have two shooters, the two best shooters maybe in Steph and Clay. We'll see how Clay Thompson comes back from, an ACL and then an Achilles after that. Um, it's going to be unreasonable to expect a ton from him, but we can suspect that he'll be pretty good because his game usually revolves around shooting. A lot of movement still. He's not going to be the same defender, but will he be able to knock down an open corner three and do a little bit more than that? Sure, because he's Clay Thompson at the end of the day. And then aside from that, having Draymond and Ben Simmons on the floor together with Steph and Clay makes a lot of sense. Now, have to fill out the roster and see what you do around that. Like, what happens to Eric Pascal? What happens to some of the other young guys on the roster? Because I think in that scenario, if you're able to keep Eric Pascal, he actually makes sense coming off your bench and being a six man and being an offensive punch from the forward spot that you would need. And then who's your center? Are you keeping Wiseman? Probably not. But then what do you do? So
I wonder how the spacing would be in terms of Simmons and Draymond being on the floor. We've seen Draymond's numbers decline, shooting from the outside. Simmons doesn't shoot. I wonder how that works. Do you think that's a good fit despite the culture, Evan, at all? Two non-shooters on the floor, even if you have Curry and Clay?
So I mean, I think the issue here is that like you're thinking about Ben Simmons and Draymond like as non-shooters when in reality what they are like in this context is they're passers, and Steph is like the ultimate gravity suck. There's no one like him in the league, right? He can anywhere he is on the floor. There's that one clip against the Suns where the five guys are like collapsing in on him at just about half court or something like that. But so what you're looking at with Simmons and Draymond are two players who are capable of getting their shooters, of unlocking their shooters, especially on the move. And what you're looking at with, if you want to say, let's hold off on what Clay looks like healthy as a movement shooter, that's fine. But Steph, we saw this year on his own when he was going like supernova in March, April, he was losing his mind and he was doing it almost single-handedly just because of the threat of his spacing. So you can do so many different things with those two guys. And I mean, the value of it is that they are switchable defensively. So Draymond can guard the five, Ben can guard the five, and they can do it in spurts. So I think offensively, they're going to be doing enough. Defensively, I think that's where you're going to see something special.
Yeah, and that's where they excel in that game. Would you want Simmons if you are the Warriors, Murph? I know you were a big Simmons guy. You guys supported him despite some of his recent struggles. Would you want him on the Warriors because of what he can bring defensively?
Oh yeah. I mean, he's really a pure dynamic point guard. Okay, like a pure point guard. Obviously, he's not shooting yet. And when you put him with Steph and Clay and with Steve Kerr in that system, I mean, that would be very fun to watch, and I think it would turn into W's as well. So yeah, and also I like what Evan said about the psychology of it. Putting on a team with guys like Steph and Clay and Draymond, from a different perspective, Draymond, because his motivation is a little different. But especially with Steph and Clay, I think those type of guys would give Ben Simmons confidence. Him not shooting, that's a confidence thing. Okay. And I think, someone like Steph and Clay would know might be able to up his confidence to where he starts taking shots, where they tell him, yo, we need you to take at least a couple shots. We know you can shoot. We've seen you do it in practice, blah, blah. You're our guy. Guys like that can support him. And I think, they might even turn him into a whole different player because, he has better form, pure form than Giannis does. And Giannis is taking shots and getting better uh, at that part of his game. I don't think it's over for Ben Simmons. He's 24 years old. So yeah, I think it would be a perfect fit for both sides, really.
Yeah, it will be very interesting to see if that can happen. They drafted him into the NBA. I think that was a really nice touch there. Obviously, Terrence Clark passed away earlier this year. Nice job, former Kentucky player. Would have been going to Kentucky and would have had the opportunity to, probably be in this NBA draft. So very interesting. We do have a trade. Brian, are you going to jump for joy now? Is that what
No,
we're going to see? You're
because
not going to jump for
it
joy.
just says it's the 16th overall. See, but now it sucks because we're out of the lottery, and it's like, well, it's gonna
I
be
thought you wanted trades, man.
But here's the thing: it's gonna be like 16 for like 25 and a future fucking protected first, and then the Knicks are gonna trade 19 for like a future first, and it's gonna now it's like, all right, like everyone is scared to pull the trigger on some of these deals. They want to wait for free agency, and it's fine because look, it's fine even if you don't give us what we want tonight. We're going to be back on Monday night with another stream because there are going to be some actual transactions, not a bunch of teams scared to make moves.
Brian calling out all these GMs for not pulling the trigger. OKC is trading.
I'm half kidding, by the way. I'm half kidding.
No, he's serious. OK is trading the number 16 pick to Houston. So Houston picked Alperen Sengun at number 16. Many people considered him the second best big in this draft. International player. A lot of people said he was second best big in this draft. But we talked about this, Murph, not in the same range as Evan Mobley, not in that same stratosphere of talent necessarily there. Rockets obviously trying to add as much talent as possible. And we'll see what OKC got for trading that pick to the Rockets. Obviously, it wasn't OKC probably didn't have somebody they loved there at 16, but maybe the Rockets did. And they get a guy here. With a team like the Rockets, as bad as they were last year, I guess it would be important for them to acquire as much talent as they can right now. You could say the same for OKC, but, they like stockpiling picks.
Yeah, I guess it's a solid pick. I just worry about him in that Houston environment. He does have skills. I like the way he looks close to the basket. He even has some explosion. Doesn't really have much of an outside shot right now. So he's kind of still a project from what I've seen on film. So I'm a little worried about projects in Houston.
Yeah, it is really interesting. That culture in Houston, they've been through a lot with Harden leaving, a lot of players in and out. Still don't know what the future is there, but they do have
broke owner.
Yeah, they do have Jalen Green to be excited about that down there in H-Town. So
they were making fun of him too because he was in a private jet. He was eating, I don't remember what it was. It was fast food or whatever. I don't know what the signature is down in Houston, but yeah, he was on a private jet eating that, and they were like, "Yo, Tillman Fertitta could have get him some other shit." I don't.
Damn, why can't Tillman Fertitta live?
He's from the Trump McDonald's.
McDonald's at the White House. That kind of spread.
McDonald's and Kentucky Fried Chicken. You know what I'm saying?
KFC, by the way, KFC got underrated grilled chicken. I don't care what anybody says. I've told Dexter.
I haven't tried it.
Underrated grilled chicken. It's not quite Chicken House, which is my spot in Kew Gardens. Shout out to them, but listen, their grilled chicken is not bad.
So
it's just fucking expensive. Shit.
So guys, for that number 16 pick, Houston is sending OKC 2 future first round picks.
That's a 2K trade. Yo, Oklahoma City. Yo, man, like what?
What are they doing? Like, I think it's fair to ask that now about OKC, right? Like, you're stockpiling all these picks.
Wait, are they protected?
That information's not out yet.
From Houston, you like they better be protected. If those are unprotected picks, then you could be Yo, Oklahoma City, like man.
I also want to know how far in the future they are, right? Like, are we talking?
I hope it's 10 years away.
Are we talking 20?
They have something. What was the number? It was something like 17 firsts and 17 seconds for the next like 7 or 8 years, or something along those lines. It was something ridiculous. It was some 2K shit.
Yeah, at some point you can't just hoard all the assets, right? You don't want
And
to
then they're
Danny
showing
Ainges and then you have nothing to show for it. It's kind of interesting. I don't know what they're doing in OKC, but at some point you got to wonder um, how this is going. So who they take a six again? It's escaped me right now. Who did OKC take a six again?
Six,
Pull this up.
six. Oh, Giddy, right?
Giddy, yeah, they
yeah,
took Giddy,
Giddy.
I like that pick. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Wow.
Yeah,
What a
this
fucking
yeah.
fall for Kemba
Oh
Walker.
man,
Bullshit.
Evan hit the nail on the head. This 14 to 40 region. Woo, it's tough, man. It's
Kemba
tough,
Walker.
tough territory.
My boy Timmy from the Bahamas is out at the draft covering Kai Jones. Kai Jones has still not been selected,
Still not
and
selected. Yep.
I I think he's somebody who is one of the most intriguing players left. But I'd be more intrigued if somebody made some sort of deal.
Yeah, of
At
course.
this
That's
point in the draft.
all you care about is the trades, man. All you care about is the trades. Like this
Look,
is
because by
fantasy basketball.
we're deep in the crapshoot. All right, like we are covered in shit right now. It's 17 overall.
Oh
That's going on the real.
man. Yeah, we are deep in the crapshoot. Yeah, so it'll be interesting. We're now at 17 overall. So up next, in terms of that picking, we have. I'm sorry, I lost my notes here about who's picking next. Next will be. Let's pull this up right here. So this is new. Sorry, I should know this. New Orleans because they traded down 7 spots. So New Orleans is on the clock right now. We'll see what they do. This is a team that Murph watches a lot of, and Murph was very disappointed.
My new favorite team, New Orleans.
Wait, because John Rothstein. I mean, John Rothstein tweeted out so much Joe Harris and Corey Kispert. Murph quote tweeted him and said Joe Harris was a second round pick, so they splurged on Kispert.
Hey, man, just had to put it out in the atmosphere,
What 2 future first round pick? Like, I'm wondering. Okay, here we go. Rockets gave up future first round picks owed by the Wizards and the Pistons.
So they weren't their own picks.
Yeah, but that's not good either. The Pistons and the Wizards suck too. Like these are gonna be good picks.
Well, I'll tell you that. Well, we don't know what year they are, so let's. I don't know what year those
That's
are
true.
yet. So let's pump the brakes on that. But I also will say, like, when you do that, 2 future firsts for a guy at 16, that guy at 16's got to be good, right? Like, you gave up 2 future firsts for him. He's got to at least be a solid rotation.
Who did they
player.
draft at 16? I already forgot.
Sengun, big man, overseas.
Okay.
Go look on film and take a look at his jump shot. It's pretty interesting.
Yes,
pretty interesting. Not good.
Never good when you have bad body language after you let it go and you're like, oh wait, is it going in? It's pretty.
Oh, Sengun. Yeah, he's the guy that won Turkish League MVP.
Yeah, he did. He looks all
so
right.
the concern with
he
him,
looks all right down low. Yeah,
down low. Yes,
well, I was going to say the concern.
I specify that. Yes,
the concern with him that people are having is that he may be a little too old school, and getting his buckets down low, whatever. I think you can still make that work, but I also think on the team that he's on, like he's going to have those opportunities because there's not going to be a depth chart where he's like the 4th fucking center on the roster or whatever. So
he's only 6'9".
Yeah, I mean and if you're playing, I guess you're playing kind of small ball if you put him next to Christian Wood on that front line, and yeah.
I wonder what, but I mean, granted, they had to make the trade work so that they can get rid of Al Horford's contract, but trading Moses Brown, right?
Yep.
I actually like that. I like that for Boston. I don't know if he's going to be their starting center, but I like Moses Brown for Boston, especially if they can get somebody else to just be ahead of him and he could. Maybe it's Robert Williams.
Robert Williams, maybe, because they liked Robert Williams a lot.
I would say it's probably that's fair. It's probably Robert Williams. I think he could have stayed in Oklahoma City and actually have been good for this team for what they want to do. I think that with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, if Giddey hits Poku and Kemba Walker, they're not going to be very good. But at the same time, like Oklahoma City last year, they were winning more games than they thought that they should have, and then they ended up, hey, Al Horford, you're fucking going home. Shai, you're not playing anymore this year. Poku, come here. You're gonna come from the G League. No, come here and you're gonna fucking play more. And then all these sort of things that were going on. And I feel like this year it might be the same thing where, you know, maybe they have a revitalized Kemba Walker, Shea Gilgeous, as Evan pointed out. Like he does things that are legitimate and conducive to winning. It's not just a good player or a player just getting good stats on a bad team. And then we'll see if their picks hit. But I don't know. I think Oklahoma City might be February. We're gonna be like, oh, could they make the play in? And then they'll just pull out the rug from everybody.
And so at 17th pick will be Trey Murphy. He's going to the Pelicans. This is a guy I liked. I know producer Greg liked too for the Knicks. I think it's be a pretty solid pick for the Pelicans. Should help them give them some floor spacing they need. I think he could be a guy that could come right in. Wouldn't shock me if he was able to play a significant role in the team, depending on what they do with Josh Hart and re-signing him. But he's a guy that looks like he could plug in and play right now. So Trey Murphy off the board. Some people had him high up as 11, but this was kind of the range. You probably saw him around at 17 to 20. That's why a lot of Knicks fans thought they could get him. Atlanta was another team that was looking at him as well, too. So Trey Murphy off the board. They moved down to 17. New Orleans did, and now they have Trey Murphy. What do you think of this pick, Murph?
It's okay. I'm not overly excited. We'll see what he can do. I know, he's solid defender, outside shooter, but beyond that, he hasn't shown all that much. But I mean, we'll see. That's I'm not excited about it. I'll say that.
You weren't excited about it. How much of that has to do with the system that he played in Virginia that maybe didn't showcase his offensive skills? Do you think he's better than what you saw at Virginia, or
I hope so. I hope he is better than.
Well, the Pelicans hope so.
That's the problem. Like from watching Virginia play, I didn't see all that much, but maybe he wowed in the workouts. I hope so. I hope he is better than what I saw at Virginia.
Yeah, well, we know one thing we know from last year: a Pelicans offense and defense not that good, very inconsistent on both ends. Evan, I want to ask you this: for the Pelicans going forward, they should be, Zion. We saw take sort of a leap last year. Stan Van Gundy put the ball in his hands a lot. We saw him play some point forward. Do you think that's the future for Zion's game? Even with Willie Green coming in now, do you think we'll still see a lot of Zion with the ball in his hands going forward?
I hope so. It was effective. And there's a reason. There's a reason it works, is because Zion is, he can see the floor. He can make plays. He can get to just about anywhere he wants. And I actually made a video about this. His right hand inside out is the ultimate counter move, because you want to take away that left. So you're going to sell out to take away that right. So when he hits you with that in and out, you got to decide, am I getting trucked on the left or am I letting him blow by on the right? Easy. And he can get anywhere. And so Trey Murphy, in the context of I watch a bunch of UVA. It's not the most exciting offense, but
it's not.
but they, at the very least, there's a baseline for what you're going to be as a defender. Yeah, your principles are going to be intact. So DeAndre Hunter is the example that comes to mind right now. If he turns out to be like a low level, end of bench, 3-and-D guy, it's a knockout. It's an out of the park pick for them, I think, because the ball is in Zion's hands. You don't want it in anybody else's hands, really. Maybe Brandon Ingram, gets reps here and there, but Zion is where it's at, and where he goes with the ball in his hands is how far the Pelicans can go.
Do you I want to ask you this too, to follow up on that. Do you like the fit with him and Ingram right now, and how they're able to play together, play off each other? Or you've heard a lot of talk about possibly moving Ingram. Do you think the Pelicans should maybe look at them this year, maybe explore possibly not moving Zion, but possibly moving Ingram?
I mean, so that's the value of not really having these expectations, right? Because what is New Orleans projected to do, really? Are they gonna make the playoffs? Are they gonna make the play-in? Because they didn't make either this year, or last year actually. But
they did not. Yes.
So if everything goes well and you can see Ingram and Zion click, and one of them figures a way to work without the ball and the other figures out a way to be sustainable defensively, then yeah, why not keep them together? But as of right now, like you're not going anywhere. See what you can get out of these two. See if they can figure it out. If not, use this as a springboard to raise Ingram's value. You know.
Yeah, and look who's picking next. It is Oklahoma City, which is why they probably traded that pick. They are picking another pick, of course, right? It'll be interesting to see what they do there. They just got 2 future first-round picks. Do they like somebody at 18? Maybe that's why they gave up 16. It should be interesting. And then after them will be the Knicks. And if there were fans in the Barclays Center, we know no matter who they pick, there would be booing. We know that for sure. Do you think who knows with OKC right now? Do they even get rid of this pick? Do you think they keep this pick in any kind of way?
I think they get Kai Jones. I think that's what they're gonna do.
That's good value.
I've heard that they do like him, and we were talking about their roster earlier. They need a big. I mean, I don't know to what extent or what necessarily they're like trying to do roster wise, but to fill that, I guess Moses Brown void with minutes, Kai Jones would make sense. So I think that I could see them going there. Though I'm admittedly much more interested in what the Knicks do, because they're at 19 and 21, and there are ties with the Knicks on this podcast with Dexter and Greg in particular. So yeah,
Suffering ties.
Yeah, I mean, look, as we wind this stream down, because we're almost done, but we got to see what the Knicks do, and that's going to spark some interesting conversation as well, because it doesn't look like anybody that we think could be traded or potentially anything like that. All that stuff is probably going to wait.
Murph,
except for Russell Westbrook.
Murph, when you're looking at value right here, whether you're the Thunder coming up, whether you're the Knicks who have two of the next 3 picks following the Thunder, who do you think that's left on the board? Because I know we talked about some of the sleepers on the exchange, but who do you think that's left that could still be really good and help a team out?
Well, we know the Thunder are trying to win next year. If they tried, it wouldn't happen.
Ever? How about ever? With all
yeah, it seems like ever. So maybe you gotta look at guys.
They
with
better
upside.
get Amani Bates with all them fucking
exactly.
Picks.
So I mean, guys with upside. So remember, I had Jalen Johnson.
Yep.
I think they should take a look at him. And then Kai Jones, I agree with what Brian said. Those 2 guys is what I'm looking at. We really don't have any clue what they're going to do because it's OKC. So they probably won't go either of those guys. But, if I'm at this point in the draft, those are the 2 guys I'm looking at.
And this is OKC's pick that is coming from Miami. That will be the 18th pick there on the clock, waiting to see what happens there. Very interesting. We're saying they're on the clock, but Sam Presti might be on the phone.
True.
He might be trying to see what else he can get.
Greg, come in here because the Knicks are about to pick. Come, put your face on the screen with us, Greg. We need your analysis.
No, you don't. We don't need Greg's disappointment.
Because you're saying
he's already disappointed.
Because Greg,
Yo, Greg, why are you looking so angry, man? Like they ain't even draft yet.
I'm gonna be sick.
Why?
To answer Larry's question, because Larry just dropped a comment that we can put up on the screen here because Greg is so great at what he does.
The answer is yes.
What happened to Kevin Knox is over, and then why? I will say this. The answer is that every Knick fan wants it to be. Dexter has been out on Kevin Knox for, I don't know, his entire career outside of Summer League.
No, I probably after year 2, I was done. Just I'm out.
And Greg, it's not even a conversation.
I had high hopes, it just didn't work out.
Greg, there's a number of things that you would like to happen.
Keon Johnson is still on the board.
Okay, that answers my first question. My second question is, okay, there you go.
Trey Mann is still on the board. Trey Mann, hold on. Trey Mann is not on the board. OKC selecting Trey Mann with number 18, and Greg is sick.
Now, I I don't know what the plan is with Mitchell Robinson,
Oh, yeah.
but I consider Kai Jones here if I'm the Knicks because he's falling a little bit.
But we need shooting. We need guards. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like you can get Kai at 21. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
But then it's like you might want to keep Cam Thomas away from ATL. Like, I mean, there's some players that you might want to take to just not let ATL
I
get.
like Cam Thomas.
Yeah, so it's like they got a decision to make because I like Keon Thomas a lot.
What do you want? What do you want the Knicks to do? Because now the Knicks are on the clock. What do you want? Do you want Kai Jones here, Greg? Is this what you like to do?
I'd say Keon, Sharif, or Kai Jones.
That's who I wanted to ask about. Because Dexter, you're not a Sharif Cooper guy, I don't think, right?
I'm not out on him. I mean, it's just okay. He doesn't really. I don't think there's a guy here right now, that I'm super excited about. I think if it was me, I would take Kai Jones because I don't know what's going to happen with Mitchell Robinson. And we also don't know if even if you do pick up the option for Mitchell Robinson this year, it'll be you might need a backup center. Are you bringing back Nerlens Noel? There's a lot of things there. So maybe why not get a guy that has a little bit more offensive upside potentially than Mitchell Robinson? Might not project to be the defender that Mitchell Robinson is, but it's worth a look. There's not really any point guards here right now. I'm super excited. Let's also not forget the Knicks have this.
He's pretty good too. That's prototypical.
Who did you say?
Jaden Springer. He's a prototypical.
The Knicks are trading the 19th pick for a future first
to Charlotte. So the Knicks are not picking it. The Knicks are not picking at 19. A lot of people thought that the Knicks would,
I told you they were going to trade that pick for a future first. I fucking said that.
And they said they weren't. They said they probably weren't going to take two pick guys in the first round. So either the Knicks think there's somebody they can get at 21 that they really like. They also, please remember, the Knicks also have picked 32. So that's a fact in here. Maybe there's somebody think they also can get at the beginning of the second round. So maybe there was nobody they really liked and they thought they could still get him at 21. So
they honestly don't need two firsts. They don't need two firsts right now. Like, I don't think they needed to use 19 and 21 to get guys or whatever, because they're gonna fill out a roster. And right now, unlike last year, they have a lot of guys that are gonna come back.
The news that just came then is not gonna make our producer Greg feel happy, because Charlotte will be taking Kai Jones with that pick at 19.
But this is what we were saying before. Like,
right.
Mason Plumlee is clearly not going to be like the guy that they're gonna have long term. He's a stopgap and a bridge to whomever they were gonna bring in. This makes perfect sense. See, now we were talking about league pass teams earlier. Cleveland's on that list for me, assuming that they keep everything that they just did, right? Charlotte now with LaMelo, with Terry Rozier, with
James
Bouknight,
Bridges,
with PJ Washington, with Miles Bridges. That's a great point. We didn't even mention him earlier.
Yeah,
Kai Jones. I don't know. We'll see if they get anything in terms of compensation with Devontae Graham and Malik Monk, if they're going to turn those into sign-in trades, match those offers, maybe even straight up just keep one of them. But, Charlotte's interesting, man. They made it to the play-in last year. They got waxed, but look, LaMelo Ball year 2 and everybody else on that team. Terry Rozier, I think, has had a very underrated year there last year. So, and Gordon Hayward.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about
Gordon Hayward. Right. Like, Gordon Hayward. I'm like, I knew I was forgetting somebody. Charlotte's got they have a nice roster. PJ Washington might be pissed because I don't know if he's going to start, but because they might put Gordon Hayward at the 4 or whatever. But that your top 7, no order in particular, is LaMelo Ball, Terry Rozier, Gordon Hayward, Miles Bridges, PJ Washington, Kai Jones, Mason Plumlee. TBD on Devontae Graham and Malik Monk. That's not bad, though.
Nah. It's not. I mean, I think now the question is what obviously, it looks like it's, and this is not official, but it looks like Charlotte has been targeting Kai Jones. So that appears to what the pick is. Woj is reporting that. What Atlanta does, do the Knicks go point guard? Do they go big man? Do they go wing? Greg, I can see you're still not happy. Well, we'll see what Atlanta does and then see what the Knicks can do. But the Knicks do get a future first-round pick. Like I said, if they have the guy that they want, Charlotte will select Kai Jones at 19. So there he goes. He's off the board officially.
Yeah.
It'll be if the Knicks have a guy in mind and they're going to get the guy they want all along. It'll be interesting.
Wait, so they traded that future first to OKC?
No. Charlotte is going to give the Knicks a future first
Oh, okay.
for the 19th pick. That's what's going to be.
Yeah. See, like I feel like Charlotte's going to be in the playoff hunt for the next couple of seasons. So it's like there's probably going to be another pick in the teens, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
They probably didn't love anybody at 19, though. I mean,
that could be it.
They probably are like, look, we're gonna keep Mitch at least for another year, so we're not gonna get Kai Jones. You can see that.
It could be that.
We'll see what they do at 21 also.
We'll see.
And they have a second round pick. So
yeah. Moving to Atlanta, who picks next at 20. This is a team that has a surprising run for many people to the Eastern Conference Finals, except for you, Greg. You thought they were going to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Well,
ain't doing that shit again next year. I'll tell you that.
I don't know if that. Now, to me, Atlanta has a lot of interesting decisions because they have to start paying some guys soon, right? So you know that the Trae Young extension is going to come up pretty soon. They also have to make a decision on John Collins. Then you got to think about paying Kevin Huerter after the next year. Cam Reddish, what's his future going to be? They're going to have to make some interesting decisions on how they can still keep adding some young talent here that's cheap. When you look at Atlanta, Evan, what do you think are some needs for them in terms of how they can improve their team based on a team that just got to the Eastern Conference Finals?
I mean, let me think about this. Probably more primary playmaking because you have a lot of guys because Kevin Huerter, Bogdanovich, they are guys who are great secondary playmakers. So Clint Capella is gonna full-time anchor their defense. Like you're good on that front. But you have to figure out is John Collins the guy we're keeping? And are they gonna be the pair together? Gallo, is he, does he fit with our timeline? Because that gets thrown around more and more. So I think like not necessarily a point guard, but somebody who can have the ball in their hands and make stuff happen. Because you saw it when Trae got hurt. Like, we're in trouble. We're in the game. We can sustain this, but you're not winning that battle. You're sort of like you're sort of trying to keep it even instead of like winning those minutes. So somebody to manage the playmaking load when Trae isn't there.
What would be interesting is that could be Jalen Johnson, a guy that Murph said he thought could be a good value pick for a lot of teams that slipped because he left Duke early, and that's who Atlanta will take at 20. Jalen Johnson from Duke will go to the Hawks. I thought he could also have been a pretty good pick for the Knicks as well, too. Had they taken him, I wouldn't have been really mad at that. I think he's a guy that might have been somewhat, miscast in the way Zaire was, too, right, Murph? People didn't see a lot of him, small sample size at Duke, but clearly a lot of talent. Was one of the best players in the country coming out of high school to go to Duke. So, it's interesting because it kind of fits into that mold and what he looks like he can do with the ball in his hand as another playmaker there, Evan. So it could be interesting with Jalen Johnson. They might be able to bring him along slowly, play some 2, some 3. It's another guy that could do some stuff. So I think it's a pretty solid pick by Atlanta there. Atlanta there might be really high value. They might be able to trade some of these younger guys that they have on the wings and maybe add a veteran at a different. They got a lot of flexibility. Atlanta does even after this pick. All right, so what do the Knicks do here? What do the Knicks do here? If you know this well, you're looking at the college landscape, Murph. Who else is really good on this board? Jalen Johnson was a guy you were high on. What would you like to see the Knicks do here at 21?
Well, obviously they need guard help. The Sharif Coopers looks like it could be a possibility just because they traded the pick. They knew Atlanta was next. They knew Atlanta was going to take a small point guard. So I'm thinking that's the only reason I think maybe that way, but I'm not sure if he really fits into the Tibbs style. You got Jared Butler, who's very mature, solid guy who seems more of like Tibbs type of guy. He could be someone like that. Cam Thomas, if you really want a guard who can score, I love Cam Thomas from LSU. I mean, pure scorer. He's 19 years old. But again, is he Tibbs type of guy? So it's an interesting situation here.
Yeah, Tibbs is going to want a guy that plays some D. So it's going to be really interesting to see what they could do there. You would think it seems like there's a lot more guards off the board, guards that should be available for the Knicks to take here. I should say, maybe some of the better bigs are out of here, but you think they would go guard here, particularly point guard? Would you want them to go point guard or two guard here, Murph? Because they still could also probably also add some scoring on the wing. The Knicks are still not, great there. They do need other guys that can have the ball in their hands and create some secondary scoring. So would you like them to even look at maybe some two guard options here?
Yeah, that's kind of Cam Thomas to me. And he's young enough for Tibbs to mold. So I mean, this guy. I mean, to me, he has the potential to become a prolific scorer. I mean, he was a prolific scorer as a freshman in college. So he has that ability. To me, they just need guard help in general. So and scoring. Scoring is very important, especially for the Knicks. So if I had my pick, I would love for them to take on Cam Thomas because I think he has the most potential out of everybody left.
All right, Cam Thomas is who Murph would like to see them get. Greg will be back with us in a second. He's probably somewhere yelling into a bag or doing whatever he needs to do to calm himself before this pick. It'll be interesting. I'm still waiting to see some of the details that haven't come out on what the future pick that the Knicks will get from the Hornets is for trading number 19. So that'll be interesting to see what happens with that as well. Brian, how are you doing? Because we haven't had a lot of big trades in a long time. I know as we can see you eating, you have an appetite for these big trades. Are you disappointing?
These are fucking fire. All right, cheat day for me.
Cheat day for me. Every day is a cheat day for you.
No, that's not true. 5 days a week, 6 days a week, really. I'm good. These are fucking crazy, son. They're chewy and shit. They're mad good. But anyway, yeah, I think in regards to
you think you need more trades.
Yeah, I do. Not for fucking future first. I will say this though. It's an interesting trade by the Knicks because you have a future first and it's something that you can use in some sort of trade. The Knicks have their picks, which is not something that they've always had historically. And in getting a future first from Charlotte, I'm wondering what they're going to consolidate that into. I mean, at some point, but it just gears you up for something. And this is what we were saying last year, Dex, or really toward the end of the season. The Knicks have all this cap space, and it never has to mean, and it usually doesn't necessarily mean you're going to just get out and get a big free agent with said cap space. Because with the cap space, you can use that for somebody you trade for. I don't know who that's going to be. Like, is it a Bradley Beal? Is it a Carl Anthony Towns? Whatever. I don't know. Colin Sexton, and then you extend him. I don't know. But even so, he wouldn't even be a big cap hit until that extension actually kicks in, which would it be this year? But still, it gives you more options. So I like the idea of, okay, don't necessarily love anybody here. Still have somebody in mind for 21. And yeah, let's just trade out of this first round or trade out of this 19th pick in particular and then have something in the future because then we could attach this to something that we want to get rid of or we could attach this to a package that we're trying to use to actually get a big star. It never has to mean you have all your cap space so now go aside a bunch of free agents. It's like, no, you have cap space also for the disgruntled star who asked for a trade. The Knicks are good again and it's like, I want to go play there. Okay, cool. You can make that happen.
Yeah, there's a lot of flexibility there. Also, I think, like I said before, it should be noted, they also do have the 32nd pick. So very early in the second round, you can still find some good value there. Maybe there's somebody they also like that they think they can get early in the second round. So that'll be interesting to see. And so you just never know. That's why you can't react. It's too early to react to some of this stuff where you're just going crazy over who they picked, who they didn't pick. Look, and recently, I just want to say, recent history, this should give Knicks fans some hope. In recent history, the Knicks have had some good late round, first round success. We saw Emmanuel Quickly drafted last year, who looks like a pretty solid rotation player. Mitchell Robinson was picked up in the second round a few years ago, who's become their starting center. Whether or not he can stay healthy, that's another thing. So it should be interesting. So, Ian, this is from our guy, Ian Begley. Source confirms Knicks move number 19 to Charlotte for a future pick. And Knicks checked in on teams near Indiana at 13 today with Chris Duarte in mind. They also like Corey Kispert, Trey Murphy, and Trey Mann. All were off the board by the 19th pick. ESPN first reported New York had traded the pick. So you can see the mindset there as Ian's sort of letting you know Knicks had their guys in mind. They all off the board by 19. It's not who they wanted, like we talked about, and they decided to move elsewhere. And I'm always fine with that. If you don't think there's a guy that fits your culture to come in, then it's okay. It's okay to move on. But as I was saying, they've also shown late first round, early second round success. So, with this regime, if they have a guy that they think they could get for better value, it might be interesting. It might be very interesting. So let's not jump the gun. Let's see what they do and see how they can add the talent, or like you said, Brian, maybe a trade is coming. Maybe something to excite Brian. Evan, I see you smiling. We want to see Brian get excited. So maybe a trade is coming for the Knicks that'll make him smile. Maybe that just is. Still waiting to see what the NBA, what's going to happen with the Knicks on this pick. Still no announcement on what their pick will be at 21.
I feel like honestly, based on like what we were just talking about, I feel like this could be another trade back. I think this could be another trade. Just trade out of the first round, just get another first round pick in the future and bank it. Because I mean, yes, get best player available, but like if the Knicks traded out of this first round entirely and just were like, nah, we're gonna actually try to pull off a sizable trade here, I think that you should be fine with that, depending on what it is.
Yeah, well, I was going to say that, right? Like it depends on what it is and who they get back. I think,
or you're just attaching a first to like get rid of Kevin Knox and get something back. I don't know, but
well, I mean, yeah, if you think you can get yourself a useful, controllable player that's a rotation player, it's not crazy. It's not crazy at all whatsoever. You can see that happening. We'll see what happens. Knicks fans are anxiously awaiting.
Sign and trade with the Heat for Kendrick Nunn.
Yeah, that would be very interesting. I would have liked Jalen Johnson for the Knicks. I think he could have been a good fit because they need more wing help. I think that's a guy that could have been a good fit, but I like that pick for Atlanta. And look, you still never know, man. Some of these players, we've seen this before, players get drafted. They think they're going to a team. They're switching the hat, right. Before yep. We're a little bit ahead of the draft in terms of
Kevin Knox. There you go. Let's see how Greg reacts to this in the chat. Kevin Knox and a first round pick, one of these first round picks, attach it. The one you got from Charlotte. Attach that and then get back Kendrick Nunn in a sign and trade. Who says yes? Who says no? Don't be shitting on my guy, yo.
I'm not shitting on your guy. I'm just saying it doesn't move me any kind of way.
Who's this guy?
He said a first round pick attached to Kevin Knox for Kendrick Nunn in the sign and trade. That's a no. Yeah, we can just go with that. That is clearly a no.
He's a good rotation player. Doesn't really move the needle for him.
I mean, shit, he's better than Elfrid Payton.
I'm not.
Well, that's not saying much. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, look, but here's the thing. Like, they had the worst starting point guard in the NBA last year, more or less.
Yeah.
Probably less. And they had Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose, part of Derrick Rose being such an integral part of that team was that Elfrid Payton was just not good. So if you have somebody who's just better than Elfrid Payton, like, yeah, that matters. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm just asking if you do it.
I say no.
Wow, Josh Christopher is still on the board, and all the kids who comment on the slams posts, they're excited about that, and Sharif Cooper. Like, I guarantee you, Slam, and shout out to Slam. This is, I've done work with them. Greg's done work with them. They're great. But you know that if the Knicks get Josh Christopher, Sharif Cooper, Slam's gonna have a post ready in 5 seconds.
Oh man,
I can see it. I can absolutely see it. I can definitely see it.
In the Mecca, you know what I'm saying? They called Sharif Cooper a high school legend not that long ago. And I was like, is he really? And then I went and looked up his numbers. I was like, I don't know if I can argue this one.
What do you average, like 50?
That dude was going crazy in high school. I mean, shit. He had a crazy year statistically in Auburn. It just wasn't very efficient. But I could see the pathway to Sharif Cooper being a good NBA player and also a very volatile one. So
I could see either. Shout out to my man Jesse Hoffrichter checking in on the show. We appreciate you. Told me I had good perspective on the Knicks. I mean, look, some of us can be rational. Some of us can be rational.
thank you for choosing us over Kendrick Perkins, Jesse. We appreciate it.
Oh man, this is the part of the night where the draft really slows down.
Yeah, we're really yeah.
I don't know.
Wait.
I don't know if you talked about this with Atlanta, but them picking Jalen Johnson, that's got to mean that Cam Reddish is gone, because that's that's same wing type guy. You've already heard the rumors that they're trying to shop Reddish, so.
That'd be interesting. All right, this according to
we're probably and also regarding the stream, we're probably done shortly after this.
Shortly after this, yeah, we're not going to take you all the way and bore you through the final picks of the first round. But this according to Zach Lowe,
I'll be pissed if we get off and there's a trade right away.
Oh, that's exactly what's going to happen.
Colin Sexton for fucking whatever. You know what I mean?
Exactly what's going to happen. But you'll be fine, man. You got your cookies over there. You'll be straight. You'll be good.
No, I'm done. I'm done. One cookie limit. That's it.
Zach Lowe will be. He said this will be a heavily protected 22 Charlotte first rounder going to New York with protections that decrease over the next 3 seasons. So
they're trading number 1 to Detroit.
Oh my god!
The Knicks traded both of their picks. Wow.
Listen. I'm telling you, the Knicks are up to some shit, man. Trading both of their picks.
Wow. Wow. This is shocking. And nobody had any intel on this, so they trade
to the Clippers.
The Clippers the Clippers are going to take Keon Johnson, who Greg wanted. And look at Greg's face. Look at Greg's face. He's so stressed. He's so stressed.
I like it though. I like it. This is what you do.
Well, explain why you like it, Brian. Why is this a good move for the Knicks? Because some people will say the Knicks need to acquire talent right now, young talent that can help them. Why is this a good move?
I think what they're gearing up to do, as we mentioned before, is they're getting future first-round picks because they know that all of these GMs in the NBA get hard off of future first-round picks. So they're going to try to get as many picks as possible that they can, assuming that they don't like any of these players like that. They're just trying to get as many picks as possible, and then they're going to try to flip them for, again, a disgruntled star, some sort of player or whatever. Like, they're just adding up, as white NBA reporters say, assets so that they can use them for a trade. And I like the thinking here, because I think that you're going to be able to come to the table and be like, look, we have Obi Top, not the saying that they should trade Obi Toppin or whatever, but we have Obi Toppin, we have Emmanuel Quickly, we have 3-4 first round picks or whatever the case may be. Maybe they're just gearing up for the Damian Lillard trade. Maybe that's all this is also, because Damian Lillard, we don't know necessarily like if he's going to get traded, but we do know that the possibility is there. And we know that the Knicks are one of the teams that are very interested. And I think that they could be adding picks for that, because they know that they probably can't do the trade right now. Portland's waiting, Dame's waiting, and things of that nature. And usually these trades tend to happen later in the summer. So I think that they're just gearing up as many picks as possible, because somebody's going to be pissed off in late August or whatever it is, when shit is like dead. And then boom, they're going to try to like make some sort of deal. It doesn't even have to be now. It could also be by the trade deadline.
So what's interesting here are the pick protections on the Charlotte future one to New York. 2022, top 18 protected. 2023, top 16 protected. 2024 and 2025, both top 14 protected. And it will turn into 2 future second-round picks if not conveyed. Now, as far as the trade,
the Knicks are getting number 25.
The Knicks are going to get number 25 from the Clippers and a future second. So the Knicks are moved down 4 spots to get a future second rounder, and the Clippers are going to take Keon Johnson, number 25. So the Knicks still can draft here. Greg, you can side.
Trade that one too, baby.
But Evin, I want to ask you this. Evin and Murph, I want to ask you this too, right? Because when you see moves like this, does this tell you that maybe the Knicks, I think what Brian said is astute in this, that they could be setting up for a trade for a future superstar, but maybe in the players they were looking at here between 19 and their 32 where they're picking, maybe they didn't see that much difference in value between those players, and they said, let's stack up some assets for what Brian said. Is that a good team building strategy that you guys would say to move forward?
Let me defer to Murph real quick.
Uh,
But anyway, I got something, but I want to hear what to say first.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as team building, I mean, it makes sense. If you don't, if there's not a guy that you really want at that 19 or 21 spot, or two guys that you really want, and there are guys later that you feel are just as good, in the late 20s, or even let's say second round that are projected to go second round, and you like, one of those guys, I think it makes sense, to get more, to acquire more assets in the future. And if you select two first round picks, that's two contracts. That's two rookie contracts that you're going to have to pay out. So yeah, I think it's fair. And then obviously they didn't have their heart set on any one of these guys who's projected to be in this like 19 to 23 range.
Evin, how do you feel about that in terms of a team building standpoint?
So I mean, the one thing that jumps out to me is that I used to live in Chicago in, peak Tibbs era. He, not the biggest fan of young players, right? So you have to be a certain type of guy for Tibbs to fall in love with you, or your process, or your work ethic, or whatever, and then you can play for him, like a Jimmy Butler type, who came up slowly. In terms of the other thing, it's like I was talking about earlier, and we've referenced this a bunch. It's 14 through 40, like they're about interchangeable. Some guys who we thought would have gone already are still on the board, and so on and so forth. So it's like, if this guy isn't gonna, if we're sure this guy isn't gonna get picked at 21, why not acquire assets to move back? If this guy is, I mean, unfortunately for Greg, like if this guy is the guy that we want isn't going to get picked at 25, let's take another asset and keep moving back. Like, because for all we know, he could still be there at 40. And now you got 3 extra picks, So it's a good strategy.
It isn't a bad strategy. Isaiah Jackson was going to be selected by the Wizards, but now will be traded to Indiana. Wizards were selecting Isaiah Jackson at 22. It really makes me wonder what the Knicks do at 32 before we finally wrap, because we're not going to keep everybody here too much longer. But it makes me wonder what they would do at 32 and that difference in value. Like you said, there's guys they didn't think was that much. 14 to 40 is a crapshoot. You have somebody you really like that you think you get at 32 while still setting yourself up for the future, maybe trades for a superstar, because like Brian said, Brian's completely right about this. GMs love those future first-round picks. I sometimes don't know why, but people
even
do.
the protected ones, because people are pointing out that the Knicks got a heavily protected one that's going to decrease in value over time. But it's like these GMs just want picks. Like we saw in the James Harden deal and Drew Holiday also, that teams not only want picks, they want pick swaps, right? Like It's just not. They just want the picks because, I don't know. They just love the idea of, hope trafficking and whatever the case may be. I don't know. Maybe the Knicks are going to trade back again and keep stockpiling the picks. Another thing we have to remember is that these organizations all know more than we do, and the Knicks probably have some intel around the league where it's like they made, like, for example, somebody like Sharif Cooper, and from what they gather, they're like, we could wait a bit. Like, we don't have to take him at 19 or 21 or whatever. Like, this team doesn't like him at 23. This team is going to take this guy, and this team is going to take whomever. And they feel like they can get him later on. Like, they have that intel better than we do. And I think if that's the case, whether it's Sharif Cooper or whomever, then yeah, like, I think that what they're doing is smart.
So the Wizards are sending the number 22 pick, Isaiah Jackson, to Indiana for Aaron Holiday. So Aaron Holiday.
Oh, trade! Say that again. What was it?
It's a trade. The Wizards sending. Look at you. All you hear is a trade, and so excited. The Wizards are sending Isaiah Jackson to Indiana. Aaron Holiday going to DC.
Straight up?
Yeah, straight up.
I don't know what Washington's roster is anymore.
It's Bradley Beal and the Miracles. That's what it
is. Aaron Holiday was a first-round pick 2 years ago.
Yeah, he was like in the teens, I think.
Yeah, he's played all right. He's been solid.
Yeah, he's a Holiday, so he's going to be in the league forever.
Yeah, he sounds like He sounds like he's going to be a still in the league guy. The Knicks right now. Still remember, you're right. Knicks still have
3
a pick at
years ago,
25.
actually. 3 years
3
ago.
years ago.
Oh.
Knicks still have a pick at 25. Maybe they trade back on that, or who knows? Knicks have been wheeling and dealing, but they look like they're starting to make some moves somewhat as a competent organization, right, Murph? They're doing some things with some thought in here.
Yeah,
I know
they're
some
looking
people
like
might not like it, but yeah.
They're looking like the Brooklyn Nets when they talked about culture and all that stuff. Remember that?
Yeah.
Wizards will also receive the 31st pick, so they also will get that
from Indiana.
From Indiana. Yep, they also received.
Holiday was actually the 23rd pick in the draft.
I think Indiana got that pick from Milwaukee earlier today, right? That was the pick, 31. I think that was the same one from earlier.
Yeah, I think so. I think it might have been.
Yeah, I also think that the Knicks, like, I think they could trade back out of the first round again because the cap space issue, right? Like, we saw this with the Nets before they ended up signing Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Like, even late in the first round, those first round picks don't necessarily take up a lot of cap space, but they take up some because those contracts are guaranteed. Whereas in the second round, you could play with it a little more, add an option. You could even, and we've seen this before, where somebody will get drafted late in the second round and they won't even sign a standard like rookie wage scale contract. They'll just sign a two-way contract because that's what the team will offer them. You know what I mean? So I think that, like, if you trade out of the first round entirely, you're protecting your cap space. And again, these organizations sort of have more intel on all this stuff than we do. Like, clearly the Nets knew ahead of time in 2019 they were going to get Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, which is why they ended up trading out of the first round. And then I think they actually got Nick Claxton, who's not a bad player. So we'll see what happens with the Knicks. I'm not saying that they're going to wind up with Kawhi Leonard necessarily, but you have room to do things.
A lot of room to do things. All right. We're not going to keep everybody. We've been rocking in this for almost 3 hours, 2 hours and 44 minutes. It's been a long first round of the draft. It was fun doing this live show, Ain't Hard Tell podcast. Evin Gualberto, thank you, man. We appreciate your insight, your coaching knowledge, your study of video. You got to come back and do this with us again. We're going to do some more live shows, so we'd love to have you. And Evin does a great show with Sabrina Merchant, who's been on the NBA Exchange with me. They do a fantastic show together, and I really think people should check that out. And Evan's got one of the best YouTube channels in terms of breaking down the film of players. So really check that out, man. Ev, thank you, man. We appreciate you joining us here, man. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you guys. This was fun.
I'm glad you had fun. I'm glad to see you were able to stay cool and Brian's energy did not rub off on you, so you started going crazy for trades. Because Brian can be infectious. We've seen him infect other people on shows that we've been doing. He can be infectious.
I get Gerard all the time, and he doesn't give me credit. I get Gerard every single time.
You change the energy. You change the energy of people. Murph, thank you as always, man, for your insight. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Murph and I will be talking about the draft, sort of recapping it tomorrow on the NBA Exchange, so you can catch that. Tomorrow, Brian and I obviously have more for you in terms of the podcast next week. We want to do this live on Monday when free agency starts. At 6 o'clock Monday?
Deals, baby. Deals.
Evin, if you want to come back on and join us as a guest, you are more than welcome, my brother, to come back on. We'll see what we can do about that. But that's a wrap for this live edition of the Ain't Hard Tell podcast NBA Draft special. Special thanks to our producer, Gregory Alcala. Greg, I hope you're okay. It's going to be all right. I think we'll be fine. He says he's good, so that means we're good. Thanks to everybody for watching. We appreciate the support. Thanks to everybody for sharing. If you didn't get to watch this or caught this at the end, we'll put up the audio on our feed on all the podcast streaming platforms, so you can check it there. So for Evin Gualberto, for Jamal Murphy, the Black Guitarist, my man Brian Fonseca, I'm Dexter Henry. Until next time, y'all.